Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to the Transatlantic Call-In Show, where you get to talk to real life trans people right here. I am joined with Lux. How are you doing today, Lux?
I'm doing pretty okay. I just had I took a week of vacation basically, and then just started training on filling a production role here at the line. So I've gotten my 2 weeks off of camera. Unfortunately, it wasn't as complete of a social media break as I wanted it to be, given what happened last week. And my friends were texting me like, "Did you hear about this?" And I was like, "No, I have not been on the computer today." So it did get interrupted a little bit, but I feel mostly rejuvenated. And I just got to keep some of those good boundaries habits of if I'm not working, then I don't need to be looking at this. So I'm doing okay. How are you doing, Josie?
I am going a million miles an hour, with everything that's going on. As you know, as I'm running a campaign to
Mm.
represent 1.1 million people, I'm doing that. So I'm stuck everywhere. So I'm online, I'm in the public, I'm doing my full time job, I'm running these organizational stuff, and it's just been go, 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 go. So it's been I don't really have time. The worst part is the emotional stuff that happened over, the last few days and everything. It's like I only have a few hours to process them. So it's like I
Hmm.
just have this issue where it's like, okay, after I get off of everything, I just sit and think, and then I'm like, that's when I cry. It's like, that's when I have the emotions. It's like I have to be robotic for a lot of it. So it's been interesting to say the least. So make sure if you are watching to subscribe and like the show. Also, for you to call in, the lines are open. You can call in at 720-619-2288 or use the web link in the description. And also, don't forget, if you do super chats, we will read them at the end of the show. Make sure that you do hashtag Team Lux or hashtag Team Josie to make sure that we get points, and the loser will argue something silly. And it's always a good time for everybody. So let's get started with what the poll was last week. Are they're going to blame trans people for this one too? And I think we all know what this one is. So 94% say yes, and a brave 6% said no. They live under a nice little rock, and I wish I could join them there. So what do you
Yeah.
think?
I wasn't on last week, but this was my poll idea. I was like, I'm just feeling so flippant about this right now. Um, I had my thoughts after the shooting, and yeah, they're gonna blame trans people for this one somehow. They started off being like, yeah, there was trans engravings on the bullets or something. So it's like we went through this the shooter is trans. Well, actually, the partner is trans. Okay, we just are trying to find some way to connect this back to trans people because we've just decided that trans people are now responsible for all gun violence in this country, I guess. Everything ties back to the transgender. So, yay. Cool.
Well, when you're 0.17% of all mass shootings over the last 10 years, I mean, how could you not blame us? It's just
Epidemic.
it's just
Nightmare.
it's how numbers work, right? Yeah,
Mhm.
it's how at least that's how it works in their mind. Which is
Yeah.
just bonkers. And as we learn more and more, things get more and more strange. And what we're witnessing in real time is how fascist regimes investigate crimes. And it is a incredibly scary thing how we're starting to see all this play out. So yeah, and this is one of those things. So definitely not surprised by the result on this answer, as it actually did happen. And yeah, and the narratives are still continuing to fly. Great, and we'll just
Yay.
pop in and see what this week's poll is. Is it ever fitting for an elected official to call for a collective punishment of an entire minority group? So we will be answering that question after we get a few calls in, and this poll will be in the chat. So make sure you answer, and we will get what that is. Great. So Are you ready to get to some calls?
Yeah, let's do it. Ready to talk to the people.
Okay. Let's talk to the people. I like the way you phrase that. So, let's go ahead and just go right down the list here. Well, actually, let's go with the second call here.
Sure.
We have Chris, they them from Poland, doesn't know if there may be if doesn't know if they may have trans dysphoria. So, hello, Chris. Tell us about it. Oh, are you there? Hello.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hello.
Yes,
We
I
can
can
hear
hear
you.
you.
Cool. I would like to apologize in advance if I start talking over you. It's because of the delay. I don't mean no
Understood.
disrespect. Just wanted to, yeah, cool. Uh, so, okay, to make a long story short, I'm going through a rather difficult period in my life. I am attending some intensive therapy because of, well, among others, suicide thoughts. And in the course of my, therapy and asking a lot of questions about myself, whatnot, I have started to wonder if I actually may be trans. Just looking at how I behave, how I react to certain things, how I look at my own body. I mean, I am male passing as fuck. I have a rather long beard, I'm bald, I have a dad bod, and I've spent like 35 years of my life thinking that I'm, cis, straight, and whatnot. And for the past 4 years, it turns out I am not straight. I'm at first I thought I was bi. Then I thought maybe I am demisexual. And there's like so many questions that are circling in my head that I really don't know. And the thing that really started to make me wonder these things is I think it was Katie who said this this like analogy for the first time that if I had a magical potion and I could change my body into anything I would like and how that body would look like, and I guess it would be like a woman's body, and that really
Yeah.
started me wondering who am I actually, and I just needed to talk to you guys, to talk to actual trans people because there are none in my vicinity.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing all that. I know it's a tough time when you're like, "Uh-oh, is this the thing? Am I not cis? And what does that mean?" So it's completely normal to explore these ideas and thoughts. So there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Lux, do you want to, respond first?
I mean, it kind of like basically that's the first hurdle is the acceptance and the acknowledgement. And I mean, if I love Katie's little thing that she does with that analogy. Sometimes you'll also see like press the button. Like if you could press a button and wake up as the opposite sex tomorrow, would you? Um, but I guess the magic potion is more, I guess, inclusive because it can like broadly, like what would your body look like if you could just choose everything about your body and rather than it being a kind of binary proposition. Um, but yeah, I mean, if you're comfortable acknowledging and stating like, yes, if I had the magic potion, I would just have a woman's body, then that basically is as much as far as I'm concerned, that is as much information as is required to be like, yeah, you're probably trans. And like most people don't feel that way. So if you do feel that way, then yeah, I mean, and especially, like, in Poland, you can there is a I see my camera glitching out. I'm still here. But there is
Yeah.
wait
I'm
list on the National
I'm
Healthcare
sorry,
Service. Okay, yeah,
I'm
sorry. So
sorry,
in Europe,
you were a little bit choppy.
I know I saw my internet starting to act a little bit funny. I need to get a new modem. But sorry. So you in a European country are probably going to be facing a hurdle in a wait list on the National Healthcare Service, if I were to guess. So it would probably be worth initiating that process sooner than later, even if you still feel like you're working on some of your sense of like confidence in that decision. Just to get in and talk to a professional and just kind of get the ball rolling on that sooner than later. Yeah, I would say like I'm one of those people who doesn't think you need to be suffering. You don't have to be in crisis in order to realize that you're trans. Dysphoria doesn't need to be like a crippling disability before you act on it. So yeah, if you're just thinking I would be happier this way, then I think that that's more than enough justification to proceed with at least further exploration.
Yeah. And Chris, I will also add to a question that I always ask is, are you cis? Do you think that you're cis? Chris, you there? Your phone might have fell asleep. Wake up your
Oh,
phone
yeah,
if
it
you want
fell
to chat.
asleep. Sorry.
Okay, sorry. Okay, no worries, no worries. So my question to you is, do you feel that you're cis?
No, no way.
Okay. So you're not cis, right? So that's a great place to start. Now it's your journey to figure out what you fall on the spectrum of how you feel. And I think that's a big step, because I'll tell you, cis people don't think about their gender that much. It's very uncommon. They may have like a passing thought here and there, but trans people are typically the ones that think about gender and think about their role in society and how that looks and what that all means. So I definitely think when you have these conversations with your therapist is really just, talk about what it means to not be cis, right? And how that shows up for you. And I think that will help clarify how you feel. And it's okay not to know right away. It was a journey for me too. Even though it was like maybe for me it was a little fast, but there was a moment for me where it was like, oh, I might be non-binary. And I thought about it for a little bit and I'm like, nope, definitely a girl. And it was definitely one of those things that I still had to like think about while I was in this transition, originally. So yeah, take your time. You don't have to rush and just enjoy the journey of self-discovery about yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I was, uh, I think I was always open to the thought that I am not cis or that I am not straight, and even
Mhm,
it did give
mhm.
me a lot of joy to discover this about myself. But now I have this feeling like shit's getting really serious, and it does make me scared a bit. It
Of
makes
course.
me scared a bit because of like ah, shit, I forgot the word. Imposter syndrome. Yeah, that's the thing I was
Mm,
looking for. Whether if I'm not exaggerating things, and I know it would be a great thing to talk to a professional about this,
mm,
but I just also needed to talk to you guys. And it's like, for example, when I love video games, right? But each time,
mhm.
and each time I play any kind of video game, and I can choose the gender of the protagonist, I always go with the woman. I always go
Yeah,
with the female protagonist. It's like it feels
I
more
can
natural to
relate.
me.
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
yeah,
And
sorry.
you know, and I think No, I was the same way as well, and, you gotta think about what the fear is coming from a lot of times. Sometimes the fear is what other people will think about you or what your society is going to do and all of that, and a lot of those fears can be very external as well, but really, this is about you, right, and what you enjoy and what will make you feel better. I always say that my transition was for me and it was selfishly for me so much that I added an I to my life, and people who know the lore of my name understand what that means. But like as far as all of these things, like it's okay to be like, I'm nervous about putting on makeup this time. I'm gonna go ahead and give that a try, or no, and those feelings, because you need to give yourself the opportunity to feel the way you need to feel and how you feel about everything. And yeah, I know it's definitely going to be scary, but this is about your happiness, right? This is about your truth, about what is ultimately going to make you feel better as a person, and that should be your priority.
Yeah, my I think exactly the same. It's like it's my life, and I want to be finally fucking happy, you know.
Yeah,
And
you deserve it.
oh,
You
just
deserve to be happy.
one. I know I fucking do, but that's the
Yeah.
problem. How do I achieve
Yeah.
that? Uh, yeah, I had just one more anecdote to share. It did happen more than one occasion that because I have lots of more women friends than guy friends, right? It's like
Mhm.
it's been always more comfortable for me to hang around women.
Yeah.
And I'm talking to some of my friends, and it did happen on more than one occasion that I would hear like, "You're thinking like a woman," and I'd be like, "Oh, thank you."
Yes. Yes, and
And
that's what we
and I
call
always
gender
take it as a
euphoria.
compliment.
Yeah, and that's the euphoria
Yeah,
part, right? Like everybody talks about dysphoria, but euphoria is when you actually feel good about your gender and how you show up for people. And so think about that moment of how good you felt at that moment and just think about how it would be if you had it all the time. Right, and that will outweigh any of the fears once you're starting to be comfortable in your own skin. Yeah.
yeah, I'd like that.
Phyllis, do you have
There's a
anything
few
else to
I've
add?
had recently.
I
Yeah.
mean, I guess I would
Yeah,
just say
just
that now is the
maybe
time
for
for
whoever else
exploration.
was. Sorry.
I was just gonna add, now is the time to start experimenting and exploring and, finding which aspects of gender expression make you feel good. Like, are you gonna end up being a makeup girly or are you gonna end up being more of like a soft butch? Like, I don't know. There's like even within womanhood, there's a range of expressions. So it's really about like finding something that feels authentic. So yeah, I would say I encourage you to like use this time to explore. And I also really doubt you're the only trans person in Poland. Um, and like,
I know a
and
couple.
yeah, and in Europe, y'all have like more robust public transit, so even getting from one place to another, if it's there's nobody in your city right now, you could potentially find people. And I would say, yeah, look for that too. Like, I think that it's really important, especially early in the process, that you not go through that exploration in complete isolation. If you have like trans girlfriends who you can be like, does this work for me? Does this color work for me? Like, can you come with me clothes shopping or whatever? Just like having that community and support. Yeah. So simultaneously, while I encourage you to like have that sense of embodiment within yourself where you're like, I feel confident and everything, also seek out community because it is going to help you a ton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
Okay. I
yeah.
mean, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, Chris, and good luck with your journey, and give us an update. Tell us how things go after a little bit of time, okay?
Sure. Definitely, I will. I'll be back.
Awesome. Well, have a great rest of your day. All right. Bye.
Thank you. Hope you have a good day too. Bye bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Josie, are
Okay,
your
great.
Discord notifications playing through your speakers?
Wait, why would they be playing through my speakers? Okay, fine. I don't understand. Is that what's happening right now? Or is it I want to
I
blame
was able to
Arden,
hear
but I'm
Discord and callers or sorry, chatters were able to. So it's one of the two of you though. I double checked. I was like, I
I
don't think
didn't
mine's playing out
see
loud.
I wasn't looking at the audio mixer, but I checked and I'm not seeing tabs open on my Discord that were pinging, so I don't know. It's gotta
okay,
be
well,
Josie, I think, but
I just closed Discord.
okay.
So I
Okay.
if so
We'll
so
scream
if
at you
you're
if we need
trying
to
to
give any
message
notes
me,
across.
Yeah.
okay, that's fine. I don't know, like, it's never done that before. Why would it automatically be doing that all of a
Sometimes when there's
sudden?
an update, it'll change like or if you have unplugged or plugged back in your headphones recently, sometimes it'll switch inputs and outputs. It's not a big deal.
Okay, all right. Let me just make sure. No, that's Signal. Okay, there's Discord. All right, I'm gonna quit Discord. Quit it. It's gone. So
Get out of
if
here.
it's me, if it goes off again, I'm gonna blame one of the chatters. So
Good call.
that's how it's gonna go. Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead. That was a really great call. Do you want to go to this week's poll, or you want to do one more call? What do you think?
Um I feel like let's take a minute to do the poll and then I can see 13-4 is probably our next call we'll take.
Okay,
So
next person. Okay, perfect.
yes.
So, we are looking at the 230 votes that came in, and surprise, surprise, it's 96% said no, except for Monkey at Typewriter. I saw voted yes.
By
So
accident.
I
Yeah.
now, sure, by accident. But no, 4% of you said yes. And if you are somebody other than the accidental clickers here, um, call in. Tell us about it.
Should.
Tell us about it.
I
Tell us
guess we didn't
why.
explain
Uh,
why we have this poll, which I am willing to explain. So like
oof.
in the aftermath okay, so the shooting happened like a week or two ago where there was like confirmed it was a detransitioned individual, like somebody who had had a name change done for a gender related reason previously and had talked about being detransition in their journals and stuff. Then the thing with Charlie Kirk and they try to pin it on trans people and like, oh my God, we found out that the apparently like the shooter's girlfriend is trans. I don't know, whatever. Still I don't feel like most of those details have been confirmed yet. Still very early in the process, etc. In the aftermath of all this, Nancy Mace, there's a video of her going around of her using the T slur. So like she's calling us the T slur, the hard T, as it were, and basically saying that like all trans people want her dead and that we all need to be put in a straight jacket with an iron lock or whatever it was that she said. So yeah,
Yeah.
she's now using this as an opportunity to like increase rhetoric against us. And like we have almost nothing to do with this. And this is a form of collective punishment if they're talking about institutionalizing trans people or stripping us of our gun rights. Like I was surprised, but I feel better about this country seeing the NRA come out against the attempt to limit trans people's access to firearms. That makes me feel like, oh, there are sane people in this country that will be willing to assert themselves as these things continue to escalate and like unexpected allies. So I guess I feel a little bit comforted by that, but it is scary, of course, when an elected official is just saying like, they all want me dead, therefore I'm going to retaliate against them. Like, who, where, when, why? Like, what are you talking about? Whatever.
And it was also echoed recently by another representative lawmaker because of Nancy Mace, and now they're together on this about putting us in institutionalizing all trans people. And so right now, what needs to happen, and this is what I think they need to censure her. Like, the thing is, just today, Nancy Mace was trying to censure Ilhan Omar, saying that she must be deported and sent out of the country. Like is just out of control, and we collectively as elected leaders on both sides should have to say, you know what, like, this is not okay. Like, you're essentially saying let's round up all trans people and put them into camps, is essentially what is being said, and it isn't horribly terrifying, that we are back at this point because remember, they did the same thing to the Japanese. They rounded them all up and it was collective punishment for Pearl Harbor. They were like, all right, all the Japanese citizens or dual citizens or people with Japanese descent were put into camps and their wealth was robbed from them and they were put into the worst situations. And that happened in America. And in California. It was a California governor that led that charge. So it is a very scary thing. And so yeah, we need to stand up and not call for this because we wouldn't call it for anybody else ourselves.
Mhm.
So great. So we will go ahead and get to the next call. Before we do, I just want to again say if you have not subscribed and you've not liked the show yet, you better do it right now. Or make sure that you go to the Patreon, become a subscriber. You get really unique content. We're putting out stuff all the time now. So
LineCon,
it's really, really
LineCon.
good time.
Oh,
Yeah,
actually,
line
speaking of that,
cons.
I forgot I made an advertisement I was supposed to tell you guys about, but I didn't, because I'm a dodo.
Oh wow.
This weekend, this Saturday at 3 p.m. Central Time, so Saturday, September 20th, we are doing our Zoom Q&A with Eric from
Oh,
Skeptics and
look at that.
Scoundrels and Justin from the Deconstruction Zone. So if you would like to, if you have any questions you want to ask any of them that just like didn't really fit into the context of one of our shows, that is a great time for you to join in. So you can go ahead and I forget which level it is. I think it's $5 or more gets access to this. But it's made clear on the actual Patreon. So just go to patreon.com/calltheline, and then you can join in our Zoom exclusive patron Q&A sessions.
Hell yeah.
Wow, look at that. It's like the voice of God just did a promo right there on the spot for us. It
This
was
is
nice.
the voice of God, actually.
Okay, cool.
I had
Oh,
a special
okay,
voice thing. I was waiting for an opportunity to use that.
Oh,
Thank
cool. That
you.
was terrifying for a second.
I
That
think
was
the
the audio
scariest
equivalent
part
of a jump
was,
scare.
and the scariest part is it was a British voice, so it makes it even more terrifying.
Mhm.
That's what
How
it
Something
sounded
about
dare
like
what
you
to
is it
me.
about
slur against us Brits?
what is it about like little girl sounding voices that are so creepy too? Like it's a horror trope. Like I guess it's like the
Yeah,
innocence being twisted or something that makes it so unsettling.
yeah.
But yeah, no, it freaked me out a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. It chills down my spine as we are going to be getting the spooky season soon. That is soon. I'm excited
I
about
went to
spooky
Spirit
season. It's a good
Halloween.
time.
I got some cheap ass earrings.
Oh,
Yes.
nice, nice. That's great. And I just imagine you just like going and buying an entire witch outfit and then just pulling the earrings out of them and just
Huh.
wearing those. And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
That really
Just
fits
buy a
into
whole
my reduce,
costume.
recycle, reuse lifestyle.
Oh, it does. It does. It's
Yeah.
perfect.
I'm just gonna donate this whole thing to Goodwill, I guess, after I got the earrings out of it.
All right, all right. So enough fun. Let's get to, I think you said, what was the number you were looking at?
13.4?
Okay, there it is. All right. So we are going to be talking to another Chris, he, him from Illinois. Chris, you are live on the line. Tell us about it. What do you think about affirming trans identities implies affirming trans radical identities? So tell us about it. What do you think here?
Hi, how's it going? Yeah, so
Going well.
oh, I had called in earlier to Jovan's show, and Jovan and Katie were hosting a bit earlier, and I brought up the same sort of question here because, like, I kind of wanted to figure out like an answer to this problem because, like, I don't personally give much weight to like the whole like transracial identity argument. I do think that, like, trans people are valid. I think like, but like my friend like and I were having kind of this argument about it, and I didn't feel like like I was able to adequately address his arguments regarding this. Um, I also I do also kind of want to head off some potential criticisms. I did look at, like, the chat I was seeing like last time, just to kind of see what people were thinking. A lot of people were calling me
Sure.
transphobic. A lot of people were calling my friend transphobic. Like, I don't, I'm not, like, trying to sneak in some sort of argument here. Like I said, I don't really buy into the whole transracial identity thing as like an argument. I
Sure.
don't think that race and gender are the same thing. My friend doesn't. I specifically asked for his opinion to clarify
Right.
on this. He feels that, you know, the benefits of affirming transgender people outweigh the harms, and we should do it on that basis. It's just more that the arguments that we use to affirm trans people seem to him to imply that we should also affirm transracial people, and that
Okay.
if it turns out like, and like I guess like the consequence of this is that, like, if it turns out that he's right, then it just means that we affirm transracial people and transgender people. If it turns out that, like, he's wrong, then, like, and we're both wrong, then, like, we're all in trouble. Like, he doesn't want
Sure.
to, like, use this as an argument against trans people. Like, it is.
I
Just to
I
acknowledge,
get
I
where
know that
you're
a lot
coming
of
from.
I know
Yeah,
a
I
lot of
get where you're
people
coming
will
from,
bring up,
Chris.
especially white people. Like, thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just want to
Yeah.
acknowledge that, because, like, I
Okay.
know a lot of people were gonna
So
go
so
that way.
it's fine. It's fine. One of the big mistakes is looking at chat when you're trying to have a conversation with us, because chat
Hmm.
is there to agitate. So
Yeah, they're rabble
we
rousers over
love
there.
you. Yeah, they just try laughing one time or on a joke, and then have them not let you live it down and continue to make you laugh. It is one of the worst feelings ever, but they are so good at it. So they even turn on us when they get a chance. Okay, but we love to chat. But yeah, for the purposes of conversation, it's good that you just engage with us at this moment. So here's some of the thoughts here. To accept the transracial argument, you have to accept the premise of what it's trying to say, right? And the reality is, when you say race and gender is different, that should be the end of that conflation, right? Because it's conflating two completely different things. And so the idea that gender, which is what we have scientific evidence, we know that we exist, it is the we have diagnoses, we have medical standards of care, and we have an entire body of clinical evidence to show, yes, trans identities exist, and the best way to treat these trans identities is to allow people to live as their gender, as well as to affirm that gender in any way that it shows up that alleviates that either gender dysphoria or just allows them to have a better quality of life beyond the diagnosis itself. So that is how, like, when you think about when you have one encapsulating argument and talking about transness. So therefore, which it sounds like you and your friend agree with those statements, right?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay, great. So now when you bring in a completely different thing, which would be a transracial identity, which, by the way, already exists in academia, which is transracial as in the way academics have seen it as, is, let's say, a white person is adopted into a black family inside of a predominantly black community. That's what they would consider transracial because of the the situations that happen at that moment. But yet the inauthentic or the dishonest interlocutors try to make it look like, oh, a person's trying to change the color of their skin because they think that they're actually black, but they're actually born in a different way, right? Like a white person trying to be black, for example, but that's actually not a clinically proven or thing that has been able to exist in actual real life. So when we take, it's like saying, I don't believe horses. I believe that horses are here, but because a unicorn may exist, therefore horses can have horns. that doesn't make sense, right? Because unicorns don't exist, so therefore horses can't have horns. Like it doesn't. It's like you're bringing in two different things into the argument, so therefore it doesn't make logical, consistent sense to compare the two. And the mistake that is often made is the idea of throwing the word trans in front of something makes the two things analogous, and therefore we can now compare the two things. It's just not a good way of argumentation. At that point, then can we say that transportation is also comparable to trans people or trans identities? Like, it just becomes this really weird argument, and then it becomes about semantics. Just because somebody says the word transracial, now we have to compare the two because they're completely different concepts. Does that make sense, Chris?
Well, yes, I'm going to take the radical position that transportation is also valid, by the way.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
No, but like, but like, whatever. No, but for real though, like, I guess like the difficulty, the snag that comes up for him a lot is like, I personally, I agree that like gender and race are just different conceptually, and that's kind of the end of it. I agree that like the fact that affirming transgender identities is like provenly beneficial is like that should be the end of the argument. Like I agree with that. I just also think that like sometimes when we use like the rhetoric for it, like this is the point that he made. Like
Okay.
it kind of has like a similar sort of logic to it. Like if you take the position that say like gender is a socially constructed category that applies to the identity of a person, and we also say that race is a socially blah 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 category that like applies to a person, then you can make like similar arguments on that basis. So like if
That's a false equivalence. For example, you could say the same thing about money. Money is a social construct that we add value to, so therefore can we throw money into the debate? Like, oh, right,
I
like
don't
it's like, do you see what I mean? Like you can't just say, oh, a social construct can be compared to any other social construct that exists.
No, I agree. Like, but I don't think that money applies in this situation because money isn't like a component of human identity. Like, I think that the argument here is that because both are components of human identity that are, in some sense, chosen, therefore they can be compared. Now, I suppose, like,
Well,
you know,
so
you can
that's the
Race
make a
isn't
problem though,
chosen.
Chris. Yeah, that's the problem though, Chris, with your friend is having is that like so I guess what you have to do is break down why race and gender are fundamentally incomparable traits. Like just because they are human features doesn't mean that like one argument for one applies to the other because they are fundamentally different things. It would be like if I was saying that like okay, so water makes things wet, but like other fluids can also make things wet, like oil can make things wet. Oh, lava is molten rock. Therefore, is the liquid rock making things wet when it's touching it? Like, just because I can say it about one liquid doesn't mean it applies to a different liquid. So, when you're talking about race and gender being incomparable on a fundamental level, like as a trans person or as a person with a gender, like your gender is not inherited from your parents. Your race is inherited from your parents. If you have one black parent and one white parent, you are mixed race. It's like a physical trait, and it is also you'll be taught a cultural trait. But like you aren't born like with an equal inheritance of man and woman because your parents were straight and whatever man and woman couplings whatever. It's like I just think that they're fundamentally not the same because one is a heritable trait and the other one is basically like a personality quirk effectively. Like I'm not trying to trivialize gender, but to say that like it is a feature of a person's internal sense of identity and their connection to their own body, which is contextualized by culture, but it's and like yeah, you can inherit some features of womanhood from your mom if she teaches you some things and like you might inherit some of her physical features, but it's not the same as like inheriting a race from someone. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think to also add on this, something to like bring up Jovan and Katie's argument from before is that race is something that is externally an external identifier and gender as an internal identifier. Like that was kind of like the basis
Yeah.
of how their argument differed. I think with this, I have some like examples that might be a little bit tricky here. Maybe you can help me with this. So let's
Sure.
say that you have like some African people, like very dark skinned, and they're from Africa and they immigrate to the United States. Now, as I understand it, like Africa doesn't exactly have the same like concept of black as America does, and so there might be like a lot of African immigrants that don't identify with being black, despite being externally like defined as black. Like I think it was like what like a Dave Chappelle bit or something about how like if you like you might not identify as black, but like you get pulled over by the cops all the same. Um,
Hmm.
you might be able to make an analogous argument for gender there, and that like if somebody who like even if they don't personally identify as a woman might present as a woman, like I think that there's a lot of people that like might be like they them who were like assigned female at birth might identify with a lot of this. Like there are some aspects of society I think externally defining you as like a specific gender, and if that's the case, like if that's the case, then like I don't know, like do you kind of see where like I'm having a little bit of trouble there, like untangling that snag?
Are you wondering like
Yeah.
what is the more prevalent? Like, what is it more important that the person identifies with it or how the person treats them? Is that kind of
I don't know. I
what
don't
you're
know if
driving
that's
toward?
like I'm not sure if that's the thing because like I don't know. Like it's tricky. Also, it's like
Well,
it's not
Chris, the
my
reason
position.
it's
It's not my
tricky.
argument. I'm not. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear it, but the thing is, it's like you're still conflating two things, regardless of how tricky the argument may sound and how close something may be. It's still two completely different things. Because even in the example about the African person, it's still based on a lot about ethnicity and cultural upbringing and a lot of those type of situations. Again, not dealing with the internal sense of someone's gender. Just because somebody can walk through the world and be misgendered doesn't mean that it's analogous to the same experience of someone who doesn't perceive themselves as the minority population in a country that's predominantly not black, right? Because the reason that an African will come to the United States and be like, whoa, like this is actually way different than where I was in my home country, doesn't change the fact that that person is actually a fundamental black person in American society for the time being when they walk into our soil. Again, those are again very different experiences, and I can see why you're getting confused with it is because you are still conflating the two things, which are completely different experiences that are on completely different planets of issues. And I think that's where it is. And the best thing to do is to just reject the comparison of race and gender, even in these situations that could appear to be similar, but still are different in where the root is. Does that make sense? It's like, there are species on the planets that look similar, but they are not the same species at all, and they cannot biologically procreate because they're just not the same species. Just because two things may look like a duck or two things may look like something different doesn't mean that those things are actually compatible in a lot of ways. So the race and gender argument is just not a compatible argument in any way, no matter how similar they may seem in very certain edge cases. And I don't want to seem like I'm just throwing it out as nonsense. It's just that and I believe Lux does not believe in the premise of where the argument is coming from, regardless of how similar the experience may appear. Because I
Yeah, and I
reject
want
the
to
fact that race and gender are the same.
add a little bit to that. Like, I'm trying to like take how these are both very complicated issues of identity, but how they are very different to each other. So like with in addition to the heritability of race, um, transracial identity, like as it originally is, like I think Josie earlier gave the example of like a white person being adopted into an all black family, but more often it is a child of color being adopted into an all white family, and the difficulties of being raised with like a skin color difference, but like being raised outside of your culture and then having to go through a process of reconnecting with the culture of your race that you were separated from as a child, or like the difficulty of transracial parenthood, of like making sure that your child stays connected to that culture, like a language culture with a Hispanic child or something. Um, and then you have the issue of being mixed race, of being racially ambiguous, where maybe one of your parents was mixed race of two different kinds of people of color, like they were Pakistani and something else, and then like your other parent is black, and so you are mixed race and you're ambiguous and you don't know how to place yourself within that identity within your society. People treat you like, maybe sometimes people think that you're black and they treat you like that, and sometimes people think that you're a Mexican immigrant and people treat you differently. So like, I just think that if you really get into the nitty gritty of like, why is racial identity complicated and why is gender identity complicated? They're complicated for different reasons. Like the tension comes from a different kind of place. So I don't know if that might help you explain better to your friend, like why these two things, we can't even compare them. We can't say it's simply a matter of identity. If anything, I feel like gender identity is like way simpler than racial identity because there's just so many factors, both internal and external,
Mhm.
for identifying within a racial lines. So yeah, and I have mad respect for like the difficulty of that as somebody who's never had to deal with that. I just try to acknowledge that like it is uniquely difficult to navigate.
Yeah, that's definitely a
Just
lot of good stuff to chew on there. Um, yeah,
yeah, and
I
yeah,
agree with
that's
the.
it. That's sorry, I just want to jump in really, really quick, and I'll let you have your point. I just want to add, as well as the fact is, a lot of the problems happen when you accept the premise that they may be similar. And the thing is that they're absolutely not. But go on, Chris.
Right. Yeah. So like I agree like fundamentally with the argument. Like this is also kind of like how like a lot of the conversation just kind of ended is that like I'm just like, well, race and gender are just very fundamentally different and you can't make that comparison.
Mhm.
I think
Yep.
that that's ultimately like the the crux of the argument is to show that it's like a false equivocation and therefore you can't use the same logic. Um, I think that it's
Right.
like when like the way that sometimes like I think that we word things, it can be like really easy to like cherry pick some like specific example of like well like here's an instance of how gender is imposed from like outwardly, or here's an example of how like I might strongly identify like with like a race that I choose or something. And when you kind of like parallelize those logic like that, like that's where it gets a little bit tricky because how exactly can we like determine, and I know you were going into this, what it is that makes gender and race so incomparable. Again, I do recognize that y'all were going a lot into that. It was a lot, so it's a little bit hard for me to like kind of
Oh,
boil
well,
down like some of the essentials. Maybe
well,
we
Yeah.
could like
that's
kind of
because
like
we
iron out
can't.
like.
Well, we can't because there's gender studies and there's racial studies, right? Like we're talking about two academic huge concepts that libraries are built just around those specific topics on their own, right? Like people have academic disciplines in each of those things, and they're not the same thing. It is going to be very, very difficult for us to encapsulate the entire identity of racial issues as well as gender issues in a way that is going to be succinct because there's such big schools of thought and there's such massive educational backing behind it all. It's going to be one of those situations where it becomes kind of fruitless because no matter how we start to explain it, there's always going to be a conversation that could be like, what about this or what about this? And it's like, that's why there's entire graduate degrees on this topic, right? And so that's kind of the way that I kind of look at it, and I promise I'm not trying to skirt this and try to be like, no, 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 it's just too complicated and we don't have time to talk about the intricacies of what these things mean. But that's the best we can actually do at this moment is just say they're very different, and that's the way it is. And I want to give you this example too. Some of the most bigoted things that people say about like trans women, for example, I've heard this is like trans women are putting on woman face, and they try to compare women face to black face, right? That's because they're conflating race and gender yet again to try to solidify their argument that what trans women are being is incredibly racist, but actually racist toward women, to
Mhm.
be able to conflate those two things. So that's where the history of this comes from, Chris. Because if the transphobic community can conflate race with gender, then they're able to use that comment and try to villainize an entire group of human beings because we are trying to pretend to be them by putting on blackface, but in the terms of women face and things like that. So that's where a lot of like the most unintended or most intended consequences in a lot of cases, and that's why I think a lot of people tend to run to the transracial argument because they want to make that bigoted claim. And that's why we have to reject it in all entirety.
Oh yeah, like that argument kind of makes me think a lot about and a lot of discourse on the left lately about like how we shouldn't be platforming like really dumb ideas like that the Earth is flat, because like yes we can argue against them, but just by giving platform to the idea, we're in a sense kind of validating the position. And I think that there is kind of like
Mhm.
a harm in like just having this discussion like at all, because it implies that there's like a valid comparison to be made. Um, and
Yes, and that's why Lux and
I
I have rejected the difference this entire time, or rejected the congruency the whole time.
exactly, yeah, and I think that that's like, again, fair enough reason not to have the conversation at all. Like if somebody is
Mhm.
being like, if somebody's like just genuinely interested in like, well, why is it that we can't make the same logic? Why is the Earth not flat? I do think that it is good to be able to like make that defense. Like I'd rather that we as the left like be able to like have these positions because, well, we can argue them well, right? Like I think that we should
Ec
validate trans people because we have good reason to validate trans people. And I think that for similar
exactly.
reasons we should be able to like reject like this claim, or I don't know, maybe it turns out we actually should be affirming transracial people. I don't know, right? Maybe there's actually a good reason to do
Well
it. Um, but like
Well,
I'd want to
well,
have good reason
the
for it.
reality though, Chris, but the reality is the reason is because we have to get into each of those topics individually. So if somebody says, "Oh, transracial," have them start explaining the historical context of race as a whole. Right, because once you
Yeah.
start going into that conversation, let's see how good they are at explaining race in that
Yeah.
way, and
Like,
then we can
speaking of
start
an
talking about
African
the
who doesn't identify
nuances.
as Black, white people also used to have actual ethnic differences. Now it's just been all smushed into one.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
exactly.
yeah. But even
So
yeah,
try
like
to
the oh
divert
sorry,
the
go ahead.
conversation into a bigger conversation. Try to divert the conversation into a bigger conversation about race rather than trying to fight the nuance between the comparison, because that is not the conversation that is going to win the day. So if you actually want to have a reasoned debate about the nuances between the two things, you have to start with the transracial conversation first and talk about the historical context of race. And then after you talk to them for about 35 minutes on that one topic, then you can start getting into gender identity and then try to be, you know what I mean? Like now you have a strong baseline of communication which goes with the race situation, and I guarantee you that that is a better way to approach the conversation than trying to argue between trans race and transgender, because those two things are not comparable. So start talking about each of them individually. And then after you talk for an hour and a half on those two things individually, then try to smash them together and then see how silly it is. Right. Because that's what it takes. And that's the problem. That's the problem with trying to have these really powerful intellectual debates with people when you're trying to say, hey, we need to be able to talk about these things and we should be able to confront these things. Sure, I'm willing to have an academic conversation about those two things individually, and then we can start talking about how they intersect with each other. But until I know that the interlocutor that I'm speaking with is honest, I need to see where the baseline on both of those points are before I get into the nuanced conversation of the intersection between the two, because that is a much more difficult conversation to have, and I want to make sure that the person I'm speaking to has a deep conversation understanding of both topics before we start weaving the needle between the two of those topics. Does that make sense? Because a lot of people who
Oh yeah,
bring that
for sure.
argument up have zero interest in wanting to know about both of those topics deeply. They do it just like they say, "What is a woman?" Right? And a lot of times those dishonest people have no interest in the actual nuanced conversation about what race means and what trans means. Because as soon as you have that conversation, their eyes glaze over and they just want to talk about what is a woman or what about trans race. It's not actually about true conversation and having logical discussion and having this meeting of ideas in the intellectual marketplace, because a lot of times those conversations are not coming from that place. They're coming from a trolley place, and maybe that's me being jaded with society and having a lot of conversations, but that's usually how I go with this, and that's why my heckles go up and my red flags go up when people bring that up as soon as I'm trying to talk about trans identity. And that's why I think a lot of people get angry when people say, "What about trans race?" Because that's not actually coming from a place of intellectual honesty. That is coming from a place of trying to get you. It's like, I gotcha, because you can't explain the two topics quickly enough. It's annoying.
And if someone is making the comparison because they have an honest misunderstanding, I think it is important to communicate to them the reason why Katie says this is a transphobic comparison to make is because it's a really unkind way of thinking about both trans people and transracial adoptees. Like it's like the putting these two things in the same conversation is like so disrespectful to both experiences. And to kind of what Josie was saying just then of like, I honestly think that people who bring this up don't even understand that transracial as a term applies primarily to adoption and that extremely difficult relationship of trying to reconnect with your culture, or your parents failing you, or trying their best and still not doing great, or like not feeling adequately prepared. Like, let's say you're a white person who adopts a black son. Like, how are you going to prepare that child for potentially getting shot like a 12-year-old Trayvon Martin? It's like, or maybe I'm thinking of a different person. I think I got names confused. Tamir Rice was the name that I was thinking of, actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, like it just, yeah, the difficulty of transracial experience is something that I feel we should try to recenter in this conversation, and to try to have a conversation in an empathetic way, like in a way where we're trying to be kind to all groups around. And like, I think that maybe because of this, as long as we say something in a civil tone, or as long as we don't think we mean anything bad by it, means that we are not doing harm by our rhetoric. And I understand, Chris, that these conversations are probably happening in private. You're not having these conversations with trans people or black people or any other like racial minority within earshot. So I understand that it's not like you're harming people around you, but that like the mindset and the lack of thinking through the implications of an argument, and just not even considering the most directly affected group, in this case being like transracial adoptees. Yeah. So I just think trying to recenter that, this is a conversation about actual people who are actually having a difficult time, whether it's trans people finding their identity, or people of color in general in their experience, or transracial adoptees, that like, yeah, we're talking about like human beings with very distinct and nuanced experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is wonderful stuff. I love that. Yeah, like I think it's a great point too. Like in this conversation, like I have with my friend that comes up about this. Like, yeah, no, we don't really talk about like transracial in terms of like like you said, like like black children who are adopted by white parents. That doesn't really come up as like the primary thing. It's more people like oh, I think I'm black and therefore I want to transition to being black or whatever. Like as like and more as like an like theoretical thought experiment sort of thing. I also
Yeah, we only have one
I
person we've ever known of who's done that, and we all know her name. It's clearly not an
Yes.
epidemic.
Yes.
And yeah, and like I totally get you too on like the red flag thing too, because like I feel the same way. Like now, I know you kind of only really have my word to take on this one, because like you don't know this person, but like I really genuinely feel that this is coming from a place of intellectual like curiosity and not really like from a place of like hate. I would say it's more like,
Eh,
genuinely wanting to have a good argument, but like not knowing like the perfect terms. We all have mistakes. Um,
Mhm.
and I do think that like this conversation has also kind of given me like an idea of how to better approach this topic in the future, kind of taking what you said as feedback. I think that
Great.
since, like we said, like, oh, sorry, were you about to say something?
No, I was just saying great.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, like, I think that the way that this could be approached here is because, as we established before, the crux of the argument seems to come down to explaining why it is that race and gender aren't comparable. It seems to make the most sense to open the conversation by going down a history of race and going down a history of gender and showing how, like, throughout history, like, these different concepts arose and like where they come from, and maybe like go into
Mhm.
how like there is a like biological component that goes along with race. And I'm not going to make this mistake again. Katie's definition about like gender, how that like applies to like the schema on female sex, like how one identifies with a schema. Like, sorry, I'm
Yeah.
kind of butchering it. It's a great definition. I'm sure you've heard
No,
it
it's
before.
fine. I
And
get. Yeah,
and it
yeah.
It's a jargon-heavy
yeah.
definition.
It's very jargon
Um,
heavy, but it works.
but yeah, no, this is definitely great stuff. I think that this gives me a lot of ideas on how to approach the topic moving forward.
Great.
Cool.
Well, thank you, Chris. I really appreciate the call.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah. Have a great
also
rest of
appreciate
your
you taking the
day.
call. Yeah, shout
Yeah,
outs to
for
my friend
sure.
Melanie who might have been listening too.
Yeah,
She's
of
great.
course. Yes. Awesome. All right.
Okay.
Well, thanks, Chris, and have a great rest of your day. Okay.
All right. Yeah, you all have a great
Okay.
rest of your show.
All right.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Cool.
All right. That's great. And if you like conversations like that, make sure you like and subscribe because we still don't have enough likes and we're almost at 200,000 folks. Like, let's go. We can do this.
Yeah.
Especially with the way YouTube has been treating shows lately, like everybody's views have been going down. So
I
the
actually
likes
just
are more
learned about
important than
that.
ever.
I just
I
learned
know it's
something.
scary, right?
So the view count problem, like probably every single channel y'all watch has been suffering from low views, and we're all like scrambling to figure out what has changed. And I just watched a video where someone was saying that YouTube has basically confirmed that like the way that they were operating previously, people who use ad block, those views are like not technically counted on the back end because it was a non-monetized view. But so apparently they've just changed it so that that is reflected in our actual analytics. The question that I still have and that I need to research more is like, does that actual lower view count number count against a channel when like so in order for a video to get seen, it has to be seen by your own subscribers first, and then YouTube will go, oh, your own subscribers want to watch this, we will show it to other people now, which is a nightmare situation. But if it's the case that that initial boost from subscribers is being halved because you people use ad block, that might be something that is like a serious actual problem for creators and for networks like ours. So hey, maybe consider fucking paying $10 for YouTube Premium so that you don't kill the careers
Yeah.
of several people who rely on this income.
Yeah, for sure. No, thank you for that little tidbit of information there. That's really, really important.
Yeah.
Great. Well, before we jump into the next calls, I just want to also remind you, super chats. We read super chats of $5 or more, and if you make sure you put hashtag Team Josie or hashtag Team Lux to give us points. So the loser will have to support a ridiculous argument. So make sure if you want to see Lux support those arguments to vote Team Josie, or if you want to see me support ridiculous arguments, support Team Lux. But we all know what everybody's going to do, so it's fine.
Because you're a ballot
And
stuffer. We all know
also,
it.
is this how it goes? And just to let everybody know too, I do also have my little donation window up for my own campaign. So if you want to um, support the campaign, you can use the Zerba link because Zerba is strong here. And every time you donate, it gives me a beep in my ear, so it actually distracts me. So if you want to see me get distracted while I hear beeps in my ear, make sure you donate. Do it, please. It'll be great. But no, seriously, we're doing really, really well. And I do the show because you keep it going as well. So in every sense of the word. So thank you, everybody. So let's just go down the list. Let's go with Jesse. She, it
Oh God.
pronouns from Washington. How are you, guys? You are
Hi.
live on the line.
Hi. Can you
How
hear
are
me?
you? Yes, we can
Gosh,
hear you.
I'm great. I wasn't expecting to be put on so soon. Yeah, it's kind of like pretty much apocalyptic that they're like are targeting their creators now. It's
Mhm.
terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. So what do you want to talk to us about?
So, just to like preface, I guess, or give some forward, I struggle a lot with like paranoia, and I can't step 1 foot out of the fucking door, basically, right? So, I want to try like radical exposure therapy, and that involves like expressing myself how I want to be, like how I want to, like outdoors and in public situations. And I think for a lot of people that's scary. And so the question I posed here is, how do I express my identity safely in public? As a like queer, like gender queer person, kind of.
I mean, I'm gonna come at this from like more of a therapy perspective, which is
Mhm.
that if you are struggling with a generalized agoraphobia, like you're struggling with like leaving the house, you probably are going to need to do something a lot more incremental. And so here's a thing that I
Mhm.
learned. So we can actually create agoraphobia from generalized social anxiety. So if you have social anxiety and you're like, oh, I'm supposed to go to this thing, but like, I kind of don't want to. And then you decide, I'm going to stay in, I'm not going to go. What you have actually done is increase the likelihood that the next time a thing happens where you're supposed to go, you're increasing the likelihood that you are going to feel a resistance to going in the first place because you created a reward. Basically, like you had the feeling of icky, you don't want to go, and then you rewarded that feeling and you got a surge of chemicals as a chemical reward for deciding to stay in. And so you can
Mhm.
end up creating like a feedback loop on that. So in order to undo that, you actually probably should start with something simple, like putting your foot out the door and then bringing it back
Mhm.
in and like pushing that tolerance by a little bit at a time rather than diving fully in. Cause like honestly, exposure therapy is like something that needs to be very, very controlled. So if you're doing exposure activities kind of without guidance, I would say definitely you want to ease into it with something small and build that
Mhm.
up. And like, because your resistance to like your resistance is going to match the bigness of your intention. So if you intend to go, I'm going to get full glam and go out there and strut, like of course you're going to feel like a greater amount of anxiety over that than if your goal is like, I'm going to go collect the mail from the mailbox and then walk back inside and not leave my house for 3 days after that to recover. Um, you're dealing with like a smaller amount of resistance
Mhm.
initially, and then so that'll build like a muscle over time. You go, okay, well, I walked to the mailbox and back, and I'm okay. I'm gonna I'm gonna walk halfway down the block and then turn around and walk back in, and just kind of build it up slowly. And if you want to be simultaneously doing small gender expression things with that, like I'm gonna paint my nails and then go get the mail, like that
Mhm.
could maybe be a way to incorporate both, but I would say, like, I
It's
appreciate the
kind of
drive
sort
to
of
just go all
something.
the way, but, like, maybe be careful.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of something I'm sort of already like practicing, actually.
Great.
Which is like I still sometimes struggle with getting my laundry done, because my laundry, like, we have like a laundromat in our area, so that's I have to go out, and then I have to like do my laundry. It's this whole thing, and I have to
Mhm.
get quarters from the bank. It's this whole
Yeah.
entire thing, and so like I'm already like working on that, and this is something like that is probably only going to happen after like the new year, because I have like my friend who's going to be moving in soon, which I consider my safe person. So
Mm.
I'm going to be doing that with them, and which will, you know, kind of help that along
Yeah.
like a lot, as he is like my rock. Um,
Yeah.
that'll be great. Uh, and then I think thank you so much for like addressing that, by the way. Uh,
Totally.
and I think like more generally, there is also the fear of like violence I face, even if I were to be comfortable like outside at any point, is like people who are expressing their identity and are of a minority are like at higher, like greater risk of violence, like just on a day-to-day basis. So how would you like kind of quell that for myself and some of the other audience members that I'm sure also struggle with that kind of thing?
I have an answer ready. I don't know if Josie, you wanted to cut in.
Go for it. No, you are
Cool.
already you're on fire on this call. I'm yeah, you're great.
So my approach to this has been, I guess there's kind of two aspects to your feeling of safety as a
Mm-hmm.
minority. The first one is mentally. So another trick that we can use is so instead of what we tend to reflexively do is we imagine that nothing bad is going to happen if we're worried, like let's say you're doing a solo performance as a singer, and you're worried that you're going to mess it up in the middle of it, and so you're trying to tell yourself, you're not going to mess up, you're not going to mess up, it's going to be okay, it's going to be fine, you're not going to mess up. That actually can make things worse. Whereas if you envision, okay, I'm going to actually envision that I do miss the high note that I'm worried about missing, and then I just keep singing and it's not a big deal. So if we imagine that
Mm-hmm.
like the bad thing happens, but we handle it. So if we imagine ourselves actually just handling it skillfully, then that actually can reduce the feeling of anxiety. What can help with that in
Okay,
this
so it's
particular
like
situation? So go ahead. No, go ahead.
so it's like sorry. So it's like, okay, so what am I going to do if this happens? Less than like, oh, it won't happen. It won't happen. It won't happen, right?
Yeah. Say like
Okay.
start to come up with a like series of things in your head. If somebody cat calls you, like come up with a couple different responses. Like, I don't know, maybe you lean into it and you just like snap your fingers, like, yeah, bitch, I am hot, whatever. Or maybe you decide like I'm gonna yell back at him. Like have it in your mind, like if the bad thing happens, how am I gonna respond and have it turn out okay? Like I'm just
Mm-hmm.
gonna walk into the nearest store if somebody is harassing me. And I'll talk to the cashier and I'll say I'm being stalked by somebody, and then that's going to resolve the issue, whatever. So just
Mm-hmm.
imagine the thing that you're worried about happens, but then you handle it. And in order to make sure you know that you can handle it, start preparing yourself for a physical altercation. Like, I mean, like
Well,
start
I'm a huge
working
bitch,
out or
so I'll probably be
sure.
able to handle it.
But I mean, like, physically prepare yourself. I mean, like, maybe you need to
Mhm.
start working on that cardio so that you can run in heels. Like, maybe you should work on, yeah,
Oh, I
calf
doubt I'll
raises
be wearing
again.
heels, girl. I don't know about
I'm
that.
just, I'm just saying, like, in general, like, whatever it is, like, be physically prepared actually. Like, I had martial
Yeah,
arts
yeah.
training when I was younger. I've been doing firearms training, not much since I moved, but like, I'm confident that I can handle a situation because I'm confident I can handle a situation. It's not like I've just envisioned it a bunch of times. I'm like, I'm physically capable in a
Mhm.
situation, whether it's running away or whether it's like being physically prepared to defend myself. Like, I am prepared to do that because I have mentally and physically prepared. And I am still in the process of like strength training and working on my stamina and resilience and things like this. So it's kind of two parts of, if you're worried about
Mhm.
violence, like consider how you're going to diffuse and de-escalate that situation successfully. And if it does escalate, you need to have the confidence in your body that you know that you're going to be able to handle yourself.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. That
Yeah.
is That is, I definitely could start doing that. I do intend to do a lot of walking, considering I don't have a car, and I also don't have my, what's it called? What are they called? Those things that you need to drive, driver's license.
License,
Sorry.
yeah.
Oh,
You can get a
yeah.
bicycle.
Yeah.
I mean,
There's public transit in my county, so I get to do like public transit, like bus stuff, which is great. And that's also one of the biggest things that my new roommate is looking forward to as well.
mhm.
hmm
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
there's
for sure.
also, okay, there was another follow-up question that was like kind of tangentially related I had, which was like, can I even be considered like a woman if I don't like do the woman thing? Or is it like, am I still a woman? I'm just my own kind of woman, so to speak.
I think the latter,
Sounds like you
probably.
answered it. Yeah.
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 Okay.
You can be
It's
a
like
woman
it's
if
like
you want to be a woman,
how
any
do you
woman
even
you kind of
answer the
want to
what is
be.
a woman question?
With
Uh,
ridicule.
yeah, yeah.
It's
It's one of those things where, you just have to be able to just say, look, like, women, when you're trying to define a word with a simple definition, especially when you're trying to do a description of do a descriptive definition, it's better to kind of just say that if you categorize women as a grouping, I use the categorical way
yeah.
of looking at it. So, like, a redheaded woman, a black woman, an Asian woman, a cis woman, and a trans woman are all type of women, right? So,
Yeah, it's
so
a
it's the
cultural
idea
thing.
of there's a lot of that, right? And some people will say it's the personal schema, a person's personal schema of what they see the woman's sex, like what a woman of the female sex or whatever it is. So there's like a
Mhm.
lot of different ways to do it, but usually, when somebody says what is a woman, you could easily say too, it's like, well, what is a chair? Right? Like, you can't really have a simple, yeah, because it's like, oh, it's something with 4 legs you sit on. Okay, a horse. A horse is a chair. Like,
I
and
mean,
it's kind of like, so it's kind of like, it's one of those things that is like a dog a chair too. Can you just like sit on anything with 4 legs? Like, that doesn't sound right.
you
So
could
so
also just like
it's
ask
just,
a woman. You could also just
yeah,
like
that
ask a
too.
woman what a woman is, and then they might
Is
give you
Yeah,
some insight.
exactly. And so yeah, it is not meant to be a question that's asked in all seriousness. I mean, literally, Nancy Mace today was asking the mayor of DC, like, what is a woman? And then
Oh,
and the mayor was like, goes,
it's just a
I'm a
shallow
woman, you're
gotcha.
a woman. I know. It's like, I'm a woman, you're a woman. So what do you mean? And then she just like immediately just moved on to the next
Mhm.
stupid question she had on her freaking list. Like, so it's just meant to like make people stumble. It's just not a serious thing.
It's
Because
so
people just don't
lame.
go around asking people definitions on the spot. It's like, what is this? A dictionary pop quiz? Like, what is this? It's
It's
just
a
silly. It's
spelling
just
bee.
it's just like, is it a spelling bee? Define it for me. Spell woman. It's
Yeah,
like, okay,
it's
define it.
just
Can you use it in a sentence, please?
Can you use it in a
it's hard.
sentence?
It's
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
a bit non
exactly.
sequitur, but I struggle a lot with like I don't intend on taking hormones. Like I have not taken a single like I'm not currently taking hormones. I've done like voice training, but that's like about it. Like that's the extent of it. I don't plan on
Yeah,
getting operations. But how do I signal
sure.
to other women that I am their ally and that I consider myself part of their group if I'm like bearded and I have body hair and because I have so much body hair and that's like not a woman thing.
It is for you.
Glitter
So
beard.
so so
Yeah,
it
that's
is.
true, but not for a
A
lot
glitter
of
beard.
women.
So yeah,
How
yeah,
do I
but we don't
signal
we
to
don't
them
we
that
don't.
I am a safe person like to be around?
You say that. You
Glitter?
say that I'm a
Glitter in the
woman.
beard.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you
Twitter.
go. It's one of those things where you just have to, sometimes you have to put in its work because society is super strange, and that's just how it goes. And it's just is what it is, and people just get hung up on it way too much. And it's just like
Mhm.
you walk through society, and most of the time people don't interact with your gender. Like it's just how it works. Like
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you on that one. It's one of those things where it's just like you just got to be like, hey, a woman's fine. Like
You
I
can
have
wear a
these things,
pronoun
it's these
pin,
characteristics.
progress
Yeah,
pride
you can wear a pronoun
flag
pin too.
pin.
Yeah, yeah, all
Yeah.
those things. But yeah, well, thank you so much, Jesse, for waiting online, and it was nice chatting with you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you so much for answering my call. You two have a
Yeah, for
wonderful rest
sure.
of your podcast, and I will
Yay.
maybe call in next month if I'm thinking about something or
Nice.
whatever.
Yeah, please do.
Sounds great.
Okay.
Yeah, awesome. Talk to
Bye.
you
Bye,
later.
Josie.
Bye.
Bye, Alexander.
Bye.
By the way,
Bye.
Josie, I love your hair.
Aw, I
Josie, you
love
were bringing
thank
it with
you,
the
I
curls.
appreciate
Yeah.
it. I know, I know. I washed it. I washed my hair.
Oh, yeah, yeah, a shower day when the curls are nice and fresh and crunchy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I watched it like 2 days ago. So it's like, yeah, they look fire. And then they'll turn into a mess in about a day and a half,
Listen,
2 days. So
frizz is volume, okay? We have to appreciate.
okay, fair,
I don't have tight
fair,
curls, so I just
fair.
have to appreciate when I get a little bit of extra volume.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Great. So we will go to I guess let's see. Do you have anybody on the list you're looking at, Lex?
Um, I guess nothing is particularly standing out.
Okay, so we'll just go down the list. We will go to Jules, any all pronouns from Canada. Wants HRT, but wonders if they have to refer to themselves as the opposite gender. Hi, you're live on the line. How are you, Jules?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Living the
Doing
dream.
well. Yeah, so
Good,
tell us
good.
about it. What is your question?
So I'm like pretty sure of myself. It's been one of those things where it's less about um, knowing I need AHRT, but accepting it. And recently I've just accepted it. But the problem I'm running
Mm,
with is that, most people who take hormones, most people who want to go on estrogen want to refer to themselves as she, her, or present she. You know? Do you know what I'm saying?
Not
Mhm.
everybody, but some.
Yeah, I
Most.
I know that's a generalization, but I just wanted to know, am I like valid for wanting to be on hormones without referring to myself as a woman or presenting in any way? That's
Absolutely.
I
yeah.
mean, if
Yeah.
you are doing this through the National Healthcare Service, then they might like so if your question is like, so are you personally valid? Yes. Are you going to have an easier time receiving healthcare? That's a different question that you might want to like reach out to any LGBTQ resources in your province so that they could help direct you. Like, this clinic, the nurse there is always really open about non-binary people, or at this clinic, some people have had issues before. It's like there is some amount of gatekeeping. So it's just sort of like
Hmm.
depends. Like when I first got hormones, I said like, I don't know if I'm going to be on these forever because I want to be androgynous. And they were like, okay, well, as long as you understand all of the things, then you can pay for it out of pocket. So I guess that helped that I wasn't trying to get insurance coverage or coverage from the national service. But so like, yeah, if the question is, could you face gatekeeping? Possibly. If it helps to simplify your story, then I don't really see like a problem with just being like, I really want to have boobs and therefore I want estrogen, and just keep it like simple and like make sure that they understand that you understand the outcomes and potential consequences
Yeah.
of the medicine, and say, yes, I confirm that all of those risks and outcomes are risks and outcomes that I desire and that I want to move forward with.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. I really didn't have much else to ask about. I just
Yeah.
uh really nervous about doctor's appointment coming up, and I just wanted to really just hear some validation from someone else.
Yeah,
Cool.
absolutely. It's your body, right? Like we believe in bodily autonomy. And so if you feel that you would be more comfortable with a different hormone profile, regardless of your identity or pronouns, like do what you need to do to make yourself feel better. It's your body, it's your
All right.
choice.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Awesome. Well, thank you
that's
for the
really it.
call.
Yeah, of
All
Yeah,
right.
for
Good
course.
luck out
sure.
there,
Well,
Have a
Jules.
sorry
good
to keep you
day.
on hold for so long. Yeah, good luck.
No
Tell us how it
worries.
goes
No worries.
if you yeah. Awesome. All right. Bye.
Okay.
That was a short and sweet
If
call.
if they weren't
Yeah.
ready to get off the call, we were gonna have to terminate it anyway because they were obviously driving. It's like I can hear your turn signal
Yeah.
clicking.
Yeah. Good call. Good call. Sometimes I don't catch
Mhm.
that. Thank you. Thank you for
Yes.
that, Lux.
Really quick, we haven't done this
Yes.
yet. I want to shout out Jess from Canada who's call screening for us today. I think that
Oh,
we've
yes.
closed the lines or we're about to close the lines, something along that. But shout out to Jess for call screening for us. We appreciate that work.
Yeah. Absolutely. Great. Wonderful. Thank you, Jess. And Jess is a new call screener, right? So they're doing
I
a
have no idea.
fantastic job.
No. Jess has
Yeah.
been
I'm so
around.
out of the loop.
Oops. Sorry, I had God voice on.
With the
You
voice
still
of
have the
God is
voice.
speaking.
No, Jess has been
Like,
around
no,
forever.
no,
Jess is
no.
doing has been host doing or screening our show for like probably a little over a year now. Yeah.
Shout
Yeah.
out.
Okay.
All that
Great.
hard work.
Shout out to the hard work, making things go smoothly. So let's go on. Also, if you haven't liked or subscribed, make sure you do that now. And so we can just keep the good times rolling. So we are
Laissez le bon
going
temps
to go.
rouler.
Yeah. So we are going to. I have no idea what you said. We are
I said,
going
let the good
to.
times roll, but in French. You say it during Mardi Gras.
Oh,
Laissez le bon temps rouler.
Oh, I'm so uncultured.
Mhm.
So it's, so we're gonna go to Mila. She, her pronouns from the UK wants to know about the best approach for local government, about trans policies. Mila, you are live on the tell us about it. What do you want to talk to us about?
Hello, hi, friends. Great to speak to you guys. Yeah, I don't know how much background you guys really need for this, but since the Supreme Court ruling, which changed access for trans people in single-sex spaces, there's been a lot of talks internally within local council where I work about how the local government's going to go forward with their rulings. They've been extremely resilient to any sort of conversation. We've got an internal LGBT plus hub, and they've just mostly been shut out. Any conversations with upper management have been very platitudes and just, yeah, we'll look into it. Thank you. Yeah, your voice matters. They made a ruling where trans and intersex people have to use the accessible bathrooms. They've said they're willing to hear from the people affected, but they're not willing to change the policy now. And I've got huge concerns because my internal experience has been awful with them. I was forced to come out as trans in the first few weeks of working there. The fact that that had come out went through all the management without me being consulted first. I was compared to a transvestite that used to work there. When I mentioned that to one of the heads of services, saying, "Hey, there's a problem here because this sort of attitudes going on," what she said was, "I think we know they didn't say transvestite. What they said was T-slur," and said it like really proud, like she was willing to say it.
Wow.
So it just seems like the entire culture from low-level management up just doesn't get the issue, and they're not willing to listen, and we don't know how to make them listen.
Sometimes I wish that you all had our lawsuit culture. Like that would be fucking
Yeah.
money in the bank in America.
I
Are you
know, right?
serious? Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it probably would be. I think there's enough in the Equality Act to make us think about it. It's just the effort, the time, whether it's going to be listened to or not. There's so many spinning plates already. Do I want to add another thing?
I mean,
Yeah.
y'all need a
Yeah.
class action suit. This is the thing. Like Abigail was talking about this in her video on Philosophy Tube, where she's talking about like I emailed the NHS 137 times and they kept giving me the runaround. Is that there are a bunch of individual complaints, and y'all are just being isolated from one another. So like, I just think that the more you talk to people, especially if you know anybody else who works in the government as a trans person who has been discriminated against, but like, and I know that
Yeah.
these are different things, like the lawsuit regarding the slow down and like the illegally long wait times that you guys are being forced to deal with, and versus like you as an employee having an employment based complaint. So yeah, I think that y'all need to talk to each other a lot and try to see if you could put together a class action lawsuit, or talk to some lawyers around and say like, have you heard anybody else coming to you with these complaints? Could we put out an advert to see if there's anybody else who has these kind of complaints, and we can start. I don't know what you would, maybe you don't call it a class action lawsuit, but it's functionally, I'm sure that y'all have some similar thing where you're like, we as an affected group all share the same type of issue or discrimination or something, right?
I don't think we do, it might, but it's very different and not as effective as in the US. From what I've heard, law's not my area, but I don't know if it's an option. It's
You could at
definitely
least
something I'm looking into.
consult. If you can
Yeah.
find a barrister to
Yeah.
consult with, it would probably be a place to start. I know that you probably don't want to deal with all of it, and maybe you don't, but legal representation, or at least a legal consultation, will help you figure out how
Yeah.
to deal with this. If you've gone to the human resources department and they were like, we're going to drop a hard T, yeah, that's an issue where you need representation for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much it matters if you actually did talk to your MP about it, like, your representative, and being able to speak to them and let them know that this is happening and you're not getting services, right? Maybe even because it's like that's part of their job, is to make sure
Yeah.
that their constituents are getting services. And every time you're not getting your services, or people in the community are not getting their services, that's a problem. That's a failure of the system. And they need to know, because a lot of times what happens in marginalized communities is you suffer in silence. And
Yeah.
like Lux is saying, like, if you can create a legal stink with it, if you can blow up the phones of the people that are supposed to be representing you. Like, you can't suffer in silence. You have to not take the first no as the answer, and you have to keep just showing up until they like, you just keep showing up. You just keep doing it, and you keep calling, and that's how, unfortunately, in a lot of these ways, you just have to navigate these systems. You just gotta keep pushing and keep pushing, and don't give up, because the moment you give up, that's the reason they do it. And so
Yeah.
it's hard. It's harder said than done. Easier
Yeah.
said than done. But it's definitely one of those things that representation needs to be seen, or the representation
Okay.
needs to see you, and you also need to represent the community best way you can. It's not easy, and it's not fair, and it is a human rights violation, and you are being marginalized by the system, and it's not easy, and it's not okay, and it's not fair, but it's what we have to do to try to get the things for other people as well.
Okay. Yeah.
And yeah,
What's
I'm s-
what's your opinion on like civility politics, like being really deferential and really thankful and stuff, and keeping really polite tones even when you're not getting anywhere, versus being more not aggressive but just blunt?
yeah, there's a time and place for it.
It's a
You
survival
know, I
tactic,
know.
right? Like,
Yeah,
you have to decide
yeah,
when. Like as a trans woman especially, you have to decide when you're gonna Karen, and when you're gonna be like, "I'm a sweet little baby, and I would never yell at anyone." And
yeah,
unfortunately, like, I think that you're often going to end up on the, like, "In order to get what I need from this situation, I have to be demure." Uh,
Okay.
I said the
yeah,
word, and then I realized that there's a whole meme attached to that I forgot about. Wow, the
yeah,
internet moves fast.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It's one of those things for sure that it's every situation, like Lux said, is met with different levels of energy.
Mm.
So, for example, for myself, I'm running for public office. So I have to be civil as much as possible, because the second I'm uncivil or just a little bit volatile, they're gonna be like, "Oh, we can't trust the trans women. They're out of control. They
Yeah.
can't be
And it
trusted."
gets extrapolated to the whole group too. They're like, "Oh yeah, trans
Yeah,
women
exactly.
as a whole are all like this because one person." Yeah, it's
Mhm.
not fair, but it is
Yeah,
something we have to navigate.
Uh, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
sure. Okay.
So usually
Yeah.
when you're not civil, you need to have collective action, right? Like civil
Gotcha.
disobedience at a mass scale is usually more effective than like not like. And what I mean by civil disobedience is like a sit-in or a
Yeah,
die-in or things like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Like, nonviolent civil disobedience is what I mean. Again, I
yeah.
have to say that because we're under a microscope, and I gotta say it
Mhm.
exactly like that, or the whole world literally melts down around my ears, like, right? And it's like that's how civil we have to be, even on this podcast. I have to be like, nonviolent though, nonviolent. Be sure that they're nonviolent. Did you hear that, FBI and CIA? You hear that? It's nonviolent. And it's like, it's really frustrating. It's really frustrating, but that's the world we live in.
Okay.
How
And
So
frustrating
just
must it be
it
for our
constant
CIA
yeah.
group
agent
pressure.
to be like, "Wow, these bitches are boring."
Uh, so even
It's
though
so frustrating.
even though they're giving us the runaround and it doesn't look like we're making any headway, just keep the pressure up, mobilize, and just plug at it.
Yeah,
You know.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Ah, I was hoping you'd give me a
I
silver
know. It's
bullet,
not the
like
greatest answer. I
yeah. Well, it is
wish.
what it is.
I wish. It is what it is, and that's the pain of fighting for justice, right? Like,
Yeah.
Martin Luther King said it, like, the moral arc of justice is long, but I mean, sorry, the moral arc is long, but it always bends toward justice, right? Like that
Mm.
that is just how it is, and we just have to keep the pressure to bend it. And we will have our just dues, we will have our justice, we will have our ability to live in society, but it's going to take our collective action of saying, we need this for our survival, for us to get it for the generations that follow. And it's very grandiose to say it, but that's what we need right now. We just need to just keep up the pressure in a way that
Yeah.
allows us to be able to survive in a way that makes us happy.
Okay.
So
Cool. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I don't want to have to be the person to do it, but it feels like doing it puts myself out there and paints a target on my back. Not doing it paints a target on everyone's back. So it's just a bit crap.
I,
Yeah,
in these
yeah, it is.
times, sometimes fall back to the wisdom of Gandalf. So too, do we all wish to live through simpler times,
Mm.
but all you can do is the best with what you are given? And yeah, like I agree. I wish I didn't have to talk about this shit. I mean, I enjoy talking about this shit, but I wish that I could talk about it in a more interesting way and have like interesting philosophical conversations about what is gender rather than like defend my basic rights and be worried because it's legal to surveil me now for no other reason than because I'm trans. So yeah, like we do have to be careful about what we say even privately. Like I don't have free speech anymore,
Mhm,
but like all we can do is continue forward with what we have. And none of us asked for this, and yet it is still ours to do something with it. So just got to keep moving forward. And like, listen, if you want to just change jobs or move to another country, like, oh, that's also on the table. Like, you don't have to push through on this fight, but it's just for you to decide. Like, are you going to be the person who figures out how many other people are being affected, and you band together and do some kind of collective lawsuit, or are you going to just switch jobs, or are you just going to quietly persevere and try to change the culture from within? Like, all of those are valid options. You just have to decide which is the one that you're going to run with at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. I
yeah,
think
absolutely.
I think fighting's probably the way it's got to go. Unfortunately, it's I've got a family history from the satchel riots all the way through to now. We're a stubborn bunch. So yeah, no, I appreciate you guys. Appreciate the time. Keep doing what you're doing, and have a good day.
Thank you.
If there's any cool developments, like you're like, I've figured out we're going to start a lawsuit, then call us back in a few weeks, Keep us updated.
Yeah, I would love it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
sure. I'll keep you guys posted. All right, take care, guys.
All right, much love. Thank you. Bye. All right. So the poll is up for the position that the loser will defend. So we have queer people emit 5G Wi-Fi chemtrails. All dragons are straight. Trans people by vampire rules.
I think this means like we make more
interesting
trans
topics.
people by vampiring. We
Ooh.
bite. I don't know. I'm trying to understand.
We bite.
However you want it to mean,
Okay, cool.
That's the fun part.
It's like open to interpretation, man.
Yeah, exactly. It's your argument. You get to define it. No, I love it.
She's ballot stuffing. She's already decided I'm gonna lose.
Oh yeah, it's exactly.
You said when you defend it, you get to decide.
All right, that might have been a Freudian slip because I did not intend it to sound that way.
I'm just giving you shit. You're fine.
Yeah, maybe I was using the royal you. I don't know. Is that a thing?
I guess technically, yeah.
I guess technically it can be, right? So anyway, so we have 2 more calls for the show today. So we are gonna go with Marceline.
Oh, actually, lines are still open for the time being. If somebody is spicy and
they?
oppositional and wants to call in, because we want to get in like 1 spicy caller, and this also has to carry through until 3, or 5,
does it?
I guess, because of calling it now is after this, right? So we have to run up to it and then make you all sit through and go over to the other chat on Jimmy's channel.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
probably just going to
absolutely.
be what it is going forward, that we're going to try to always get it to go to 5 o'clock if we can. Obviously,
Okay,
we'd
got
rather
it.
have no calls and end a little earlier than just like a bunch of bad calls, but
No, that makes sense. So call in, folks. Yeah, so the number is 720-619-2288, and you could use the web link in the description. Call in. This is a good opportunity if you have a burning question to ask us. So with that, we have Marceline, she, her from New Jersey, wants to talk about gender affirming care. You are live on the line. Hello, Marceline.
Hello, how are you guys?
Doing
I'm
well.
sorry, I'm
How
very
about
anxious.
yourself? It's okay. You're doing
Um,
great.
so I am having a particularly bad day today. I was
Mm.
called by my endocrinologist and told that I would have an HRT appointment tomorrow, and then I got a call 30 minutes later rescheduling it for next year.
Oof,
And this is the
that's
5th
tough.
time that's happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been trying for about 4 years to get HRT, and it's beginning to like really affect my mental health because people keep going that clearly I'm not trying hard enough or things like that. And they're just saying like, well, if you were really trans, you'd be on HRT by now. And it's just starting to really make me feel invalid.
Do you have Planned Parenthood?
So I was trying to call Planned Parenthood, but the only one that says HRT in New Jersey, from what I was told, is 70 miles away.
I drove 3 hours to get hormones the first time. Like, I'm from Kansas. I'm like, yeah, I'll drive like 70 miles is like an hour's drive. Do you have a car?
So I do, but it is not currently able to make it that far. It's got a wheel bearing issue. It's not really drivable more than like 5 minutes right now.
Mm-hmm. I'm just like, how can you get to this Planned Parenthood? Like, do you have a friend who can drive you? Can you make up an excuse to be in a different city for a day and have somebody else take you, and then you make your own way to the Planned Parenthood? Like, because you can get HRT tomorrow if you just go to a sliding scale clinic.
is that actually possible in New Jersey? Because I was told that I had to be on therapy and all this before I could get it,
You need
even though I'm an
For
no,
your
adult.
that's for
insurance,
surgical
babe.
care.
Yeah, well, for your insurance though, because sometimes insurance will require you to do therapy before you get hormones, but like you can just say, My insurance is giving me the runaround. I want to pay cash price. And estrogen is like $10 a month. So, like, if you can afford $10 a month, I think you should be, yeah. Like, usually at a Planned Parenthood, they do what's called an informed consent model, which means that as far as them giving you the medicine, like legally speaking, you can get it just by saying, I understand the risks and benefits of the medicine. I want to take the medicine. I'll sign a form that says I understand. Bing, bang, boom, they give you the medicine. It's usually the insurance that is standing in the way and saying, well, you need to do this, you need to do that. Um, but because estrogen is so cheap, like you kind of don't really need doctor coverage necessarily. Like, and at a sliding scale clinic like Planned Parenthood, they can still adjust it for you if your insurance is not being cooperative. You can just say, I don't have insurance. I'm choosing to use the sliding scale, and then they will do your blood level tests on a sliding scale usually. Um, or yeah, like they
So I've
basically like
actually
all of the
already
services can
done.
be provided.
Oh, great.
I'm sorry. I've actually already done all the blood tests and everything.
Well, you would need to get them
Great.
I've
done
done all the
periodically.
therapy.
Like once you start hormones, you still have to have that checked every few months to make sure your blood levels are where they're supposed to be with the estrogen and testosterone. It's good that you've already gotten some done, but it is something that you will have to do every couple of months to make sure your dose is
At least
working
at the
correctly.
beginning.
Yeah, at the
Yeah,
beginning.
and also there are online distributors such as Plume,
Mm,
which is a site, and they actually service New Jersey. I just checked,
I
and
was
you can
actually going to ask
actually
about
just
that.
yeah,
yeah, I actually know I actually know the founder of that organization, and
nice.
they do good work. And so they have clinicians, then they take insurance, most insurance. And if they don't, they have systems that allow you to be able to support these things. So yeah, so like in a pinch, if you can try to get to a Planned Parenthood, or try to contact an organization like Plume. I think there may be another organization that is like that, and just see what they have to offer. Also, New Jersey is a state that you don't need to have an endocrinologist. You can actually just have a doctor prescribe it. So if you can find a doctor that understands gender affirming care, you could just find a regular doctor to be able to prescribe it to you. Or if you find that doctor and you have a nurse practitioner with the consult of a doctor, you can also get HRT from them as well. So there are options. And then I would also, there's also a couple queer organizations like Golden, I think it's Garden State. I think is Garden State Equality, I believe in New Jersey is another one of those places. Or you could try to contact your local queer LGBTQ center or Pride Center. They may have doctors on a list that they say, yes, these are the people that you can go see that don't have extended wait times and are willing to prescribe HRT. Because HRT is a pretty basic medication that a lot of people receive anyway, regardless if they're trans. So there's a lot of people who are experienced and are fine doing hormone replacement therapy. You don't need to have an endocrinologist right away. Usually endocrinologist in reality should only be used when there's complications or you have something specialized you want to do. But outside of that, like a standard doctor should be able to do, yeah. And that should be fine. Is that helpful?
That is actually very helpful because I do have a med doctor. I don't have a primary practitioner at the moment, but I'm working on getting one. I just moved from
Hmm.
I moved from a red state, so I'm redoing everything
Oh,
and
well, yeah.
learning everything over.
New Jersey's great.
Yeah.
Um,
New Jersey's great. They have a lot of laws like they have informed consent. They have doctors, even nurse practitioners can prescribe ART with the doctor's recommendation. You have online services that work within the state, so they can just deliver your HRT to be able to give you appointments on over the phone or online with blood test results that you send them. you should be able to make that happen. So don't lose hope. You're right on the doorstep. You're very close to getting what you want and getting to the point where you will feel better about yourself.
Just one more question about the Planned Parenthood. Is that something I can just, if I can get there, if I walk in, they can just do it, or do I have to make an appointment? Do you know?
I would say you should give them a call, and find out like what the potential for walk-ins is, because sometimes they'll have like specific days of the week where they accept walk-ins, or a specific hours that they would do it. But in some cases, because of security reasons, they may require appointments and like confirm your identity when you get there and stuff like that. So I would just say just give them a call and see what their availability is like.
Yeah, and bring your most recent blood test to them as well, so that way they don't
Mhm.
have to check your blood right there because those labs take time. So if you have like a recent result, I would definitely take that blood panel to them as well,
Do you think
just so they
one
have
month is
everything.
recent enough?
Yeah,
I
yeah, that
think
should
so,
be
yeah.
recent enough. Yeah.
Yeah, that should be.
Yeah.
Usually, I think
I
3
just
months
got
might be
one done
recent,
a
but I'm
month
not sure.
ago.
So yeah, you
Mhm.
should be more than good then. You should be more than good. So yeah, again, call them and let them know all this information because I am not a doctor. But I definitely think you should call them, tell them what you already have, and give your friend a dinner for driving you out there, and then basically you should be good. But yeah, don't lose hope. You're almost there. Okay.
Thank you. I really appreciate all this. Today was really bad and I really needed some reassurance.
Yeah, no
You're
worries.
fine. Yeah, it's fair and valid for you to feel really bad, and just you are very close, and you're doing everything that you need to do, and now you have new information to give it a try. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a good rest of your day, and keep your head up. We'll get through this. Okay.
You too. Thank you. I
All right.
really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mhm.
No
Bye.
worries. All right. Bye bye. Okay, great. So folks, the lines are still open. So make sure to call in at
I actually
I
just
think
closed
she
them.
just closed
720.
them.
Sorry. I
Okay,
had
never
had them
mind.
open, but nobody took us up on the prompting after like 20 minutes. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna close them back down, I guess, and we'll just do our best to have super chats get us there. Worst case, I
Yep.
get 5
All
minutes to
right.
eat a snack before calling it now.
Mhm.
Okay, fair enough. Eat a snack. I didn't know God needed to eat anything. This is new information. I guess is it the tooth
I like
bunny?
to
Is
eat
that
the
what this
flesh
is?
off the bones of small cisgender straight men.
Good.
Fair enough. Are you in partnership? Are you in partnership with the tooth bunny?
We never speak of
I
her
don't
here.
know.
She is my arch nemesis. Nemen? I hate
Neven
her.
Nevinus? I could tell you get kind of tongue-tied. Uh, all
That would be
right.
great. I would
So
write that
with
line. Just not
I
able to say the
know.
word nemesis and then just like, I hate her.
Nem-
That was
that is
solid.
a good line. That was solid. Now we know the tooth bunny is a her, but I mean, we could have guessed that, I guess.
I guess.
Anyways, yeah.
Bunnies are obviously
So
girls. Get with the program.
fair. Fair. It's all they're all women, every single one.
It's
All
true.
right. So Griffin, him from Florida, the right habit of blaming everything negative on trans folks wants to talk about that. Griffin, you are live on the line. Tell us about it. What do you want talk about?
Yeah, so this has been, I know, the past couple of years. The rhetoric has been increasing. I feel like it's been especially noticeable this past year. Kind of the most recent, month or two, really kind of standing out to me as like, X happens on the news, And, the immediate reaction from conservatives, from the right wing is like, oh, this is trans people, those violent transes, without hardly any proof, before we even get confirmation of ideology or anything, it is immediately pushed onto the trans community, and no matter what we say, like, oh, statistically, trans people count as 4% of all this. Like, no matter what we say about it, it's like, the right wing who all used to be, facts don't care about your feelings, and all of that. Now it's really just, in reality, my feelings don't care about your facts.
Mhm.
Accurate.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's one of the things about what we have learned is that there was this veneer of like, oh, the Ben Shapiro's of the world, as you mentioned him with, facts don't care about your feelings, but in reality, it was just sophistry. It wasn't actually any type
Hmm.
of real logic behind the statement. It was just something that sounded good in the moment when the facts never were actually facts. They were actually just feelings. And, it is not reasonable or logical to try to say what the truth is in a fight that people are just going to either A, gaslight, B, make up information, or C, just scream and say you're wrong. And these are the situations that we're dealing with. We know the facts of
Yeah.
what the likelihood of a trans person, committing some heinous act of crime. And we also know that trans people are more likely to be a victim of crime. And yet we have this evidence. We also know that trans care is 98% effective for people who get trans care. And we also know that most people who start trans care also do not detransition. We have all the facts in the world. We have data sets that span nearly 100,000 people per study. We have so much preponderance of evidence that they just make it up now. And it is the playbook of fascist regimes that make up their own narratives to suit their own
Hmm.
means of marginalizing and scapegoating um, folks. And when you talk about the Jewish the Jewish people of Nazi Germany being scapegoated, to queer people being scapegoated, to socialist even in getting scapegoated and literally eliminated, as people said they're the reason so they could have their fascist takeover. Right now in America, it is trans people, it is immigrants, it is women, it is all of these scapegoats that they choose to point at, regardless of the reality of the dangers and the reality of the truth. They're going to point at us and say we're wrong, so therefore we can take everybody's rights away. There's no logic to it other than just that's how
Hmm.
authoritarianism works. Um, but yeah, thoughts, Griffin? I know
Yeah.
it's not the
I
greatest answer.
yeah. Yeah, it's tough because I don't know how we, worm our way out of it and, change the narrative, because it's just like, well, like, especially, the past month, it was, very, very violent. They're still, with the most recent thing, they're still trying to find a way to pin it on trans people, even after information starts
Mhm.
coming out, that that is in the contrary, and they're still trying to find a way to say, oh well, well actually, it was
Mhm.
a roommate, or like all these things where it's
Yeah.
just like, I don't know how it can get better where we're not like one news story away from being annihilated, basically.
Yeah. It is one of those things, but, we have to not give up. We have to keep the pressure. And there it has to be outside pressure that is saying, no, this is wrong. And we need to continue to, march on the streets and be out there and be aggressively against the march of authoritarianism, as we see it on the streets of Chicago, and we see it on the streets of DC, as we see it on the streets of LA. And we got to make sure that we continue to keep that pressure, but we also have to vote out the elected officials that help this happen. And that includes people like Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer and all of these people who are just sitting there watching silently as all of people's rights are being stripped away. And this is has to be an awakening of people that are just like, no, we're not going to take this anymore. We're not going to just support the same old people. We have to do better and fight back in a way that is going to bring our democracy back to the way it was supposed to be, which was supposed to be for the public interest. And the last thing we need to do is get apathetic and say, you know what it is, and we're just
Mhm.
going to accept what is happening to us. We have to That's what they want us to do. They want us to give up. They want us to be
Mhm.
silent. They want us to be hopeless in the moment of in the eyes of, a fascist takeover. But we have to stand up and be courageous, and it's not easy. And look, this isn't the first time in America that these type of things were the norm. When you look at the civil rights movement, right, there was an
Mhm.
oppressive regime of people who were like, black people don't deserve rights. Back in the 20s, there was a group of people who said women don't have the ability to have rights and be able to vote. If you look at in the 1800s, we literally fought a war to say we shouldn't be able to enslave human beings. These are the things that America has to deal with over and over and over again,
Mhm.
and that is the cost that we have to pay for having a free democracy, for people to be able to vote, for people to be able to make that choice, and for people to pick their representatives. And time again, we always have these insurgents of just the most violent, vitriolic leaders that we could possibly imagine, pushing the agenda, pushing down another group of folks. Now, I don't know how this story ends, but I like to think that
Mhm.
it's going to end in the right direction. Like, we as Americans have persevered through the darkest times in our history, and we are able to make this through. But we always have to remember that America is also rooted on the violence of taking indigenous land from people who were here first. So we have to
Mhm.
continually fight our demons as we try to make it better for everyone that resides in the United States. And I know I'm speaking in a lot of fluffy, like hopeful conversation, like platitudes in a lot of ways, but that's what we have to do to be able to continue to move forward, because the moment we give up our humanity is the moment we lose our country forever. And I just won't stand for it. And it is hard to get up in the face of all of this. Um, but yeah, that's kind of my little soapbox. Lux, do you got anything to add?
Mhm.
Yeah, I think actually it would be really interesting, Josie, if you and I talked sometime about the limits to growth report. Because basically, like, we are on track for this government to fall apart and for the global economy to fall apart. And like, if something doesn't radically change, which it probably won't, we are going to be facing down like 5 billion deaths before 2100, the year 2100. Basically, like, with climate change and like this report was penned with the intention of like being like, let's look at several different things that could happen over the next 50 to 100 years in terms of our economic decisions. And so they created different predictive what would happen scenarios. And the scenario where they were like, if we were to continue prioritizing profits over human well-being, if we continue to ignore fossil fuel accumulation in the environment and stuff. So basically the worst case scenario. And we are presently 50 years later, because the research has been revisited a couple times. 50 years later, we are on track with their worst case scenario predictive model. And if we continue down that path, then yes, the inevitable end result, we are already on a train. Like, if we stopped using all fossil fuels yesterday, we would still see an accumulation of the impacts over the last 50 years continuing to play out over the next 50 years. So if we don't change that, then yeah, we are basically potentially going to see the global economy stop growing and then collapse by the year 2040. I don't really personally see how you can have a giant decentralized government like the United States of America under those conditions. So I kind of predict that there is probably going to be a breakdown into like smaller forms of government, like coalitions of states and things like that. Um, and so basically, my advice in that context, I know that sounds very doomer. It sounds very black pilled. I don't mean it to be that way. What I mean to say is, really, you just have to focus on like yourself and your friends and like making your local community better and trying to buttress your local community against incoming climate change and, investing in planting trees now and rebuilding wetlands now, and other things like that. And so I really think that the I mean, like, obviously, I commend Josie for running for office. I don't think that's a bad thing. So for individuals, I think that, yeah, run for local office, run for something local where you can put more funding to the library and stuff like that, and focus on problems that you can solve. Because the big problem is just going to kind of keep doing what it's doing. And I've been feeling this way since like before this last election too. Is like, yeah, Kamala Harris wins the election. We still have climate collapse within the next 50 years. Um, so yeah, it's just I'm basically like, I'm just gonna focus on me. I'm gonna learn how to put on eyeshadow and like plant a garden and make friends locally and learn Spanish because like a huge number of people in the Portland area speak Spanish, weirdly. So it's like, how do I commit myself to a community project, locally change things? And yeah, and like continue to do things that you enjoy and that keep you physically fit. Like I'm looking at buying a bicycle because I think it would be nice. And like I'm just scaling down the scale of my worries. They need to be smaller. We need smaller worries. I need fewer things to think about. So that's kind of my thing. I'm like, yeah, whatever, the global whatever, the like national level whatever. There's only so much I can do about that. So staying minimally informed is good because that informs my other decisions. Like, am I going to buy a barricade for the front door of my house? And like, do I need to enroll my teenager in martial arts? And like, I bought a new thing of pepper spray and I bought one for my younger sibling too. I'm like, you leave the house, you take pepper spray with you. Yeah, just just do what you actually can do, what you have control over. And I'm just like trying not to worry about it beyond that. It's hard, and obviously you live in Florida, so that's the whole thing.
Yeah, yeah, that's a whole different can of worms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you need somebody to shout
Yeah.
out your GoFundMe to move out of there, hit me up. I'll boost it for you.
Oh god.
Uh,
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
Um.
I work in
Yeah.
the parks, so at least I have a decent income.
That's good. Yeah, yeah,
That's all we
totally.
can ask for. You know,
Yeah.
but yeah,
It's definitely
prepare for
hard,
the
right?
balkanization.
Mhm.
Right. And so like, you know, it's really easy to kind of feel very like, well, this is how the country decided to vote. This is the way that people want to move. This is, but in reality, I think Lux has a very strong kernel of like reality there, which is our community, our neighbors, our people that are going to be by our side if the worst happens is going to be the thing that keeps us alive, that keeps us
Mm.
together, that is going to be able to continue this fight, and regardless of how bad it could become. um I am maybe to a fault eternally optimistic. And
Mm.
I think that's just kind of my job as the leader that I am and have to be in these moments, because we have to be able to be hopeful, at least in my opinion. We have to be able to be hopeful of a better tomorrow. Even when
Mm.
things are at their darkest, because what do we what is the point at that point, right? And so I've always said that I want to leave this world better than when I got here. Is kind of like how I look at things. And right now, the bar is incredibly low because the world is freaking crap right now. And if I can, if we can turn that knob just a little bit, then I succeeded in that. But I do believe that rational minds hopefully will prevail, but I also fear the dumbing down of America society and global society at large. The fact that less than half of the American population can read proficiently or are literate completely. How people vibe reading through schools. I heard that like kids are just vibing with education. Like they're just like, can you read? They just vibe with it. It's like, oh yeah, the book. Yeah, I read the book. Let me tell you how I read the book. And they just vibe their way through it by context clues to the people who talk around them. Is incredibly scary. I will say that there is hope that the AI bubble is going to burst, although that's going to cause massive damage in our economic sector. Um, However, most of that money is wrapped up in money that we don't have, but it will trickle down to us. If the AI bubble drops, our electricity bills are going to go down. Cool. That's something that's something to look forward
Mhm.
to. Hey, right now people's electricity bills are on average going up by $200 right now, in certain areas. And we're going to see, massive billionaires lose 20% of their wealth overnight as soon as that bubble bursts. The fact is that we need to have a reality check, and maybe that economic downturn is the reality check, that you can't vibe your way through the
Mhm.
presidency and it has real world consequences, that people need to see that competency matters. That we need to make politics boring again. I think that is something that needs to be something that people need to really vibe with. Like, I am a freaking nerd. I like reading policy books for fun. Like, like put me in charge of how to make housing policy better. I'll give people the brass tacks that the fact is the reason there's a housing crisis is because a bunch of boomers bought a houses for change in their pocket, and now they're millions of dollars, and they're like, no, you're taking my millions. You never had it. It never was yours. You lived in the same house all your life. The value of your home is made up. It's line go up. Stop being greedy, right?
Mhm.
Like that is a hard truth that people need to understand. And the fact is, people complain, oh, my property taxes are so high. Your fault. You valued your house at the $1 million that you couldn't afford, but you want to live in $1 million home and you don't want to pay $1 million property taxes. Like, sorry, how about you actually live in reality? Like, you can get me all in
Mhm.
housing policy. As you can see, it's my number one issue in this campaign. But these are the situations that we are dealing with, and I don't know what has to break, like Lux is saying. I don't know what has to break for people to realize that they should have competent people leading us when we're talking about complex social
Mhm.
policy that is literally serving, 360 million people and 7 billion people globally. Like, this is where
Mhm.
we are. and we have put memers and podcasters in charge of the entire freaking country. And I know that's ironic coming from me as somebody who's sitting here on a podcast right now, essentially. But I was not this first, okay? I was. This is the fun thing I do, all right. But like this is where we are, and I know I'm on a soapbox, but I am vibing for time since we're supposed to get through another 40 minutes. But I will leave it there for a moment.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I get where Lux is coming from with the kind of just focus on community and stuff. Where like, I guess if we think about like historically, like 200 years ago, you had in your small town you have you know Beth, she makes the bread and gives the bread, and then you have Jerry, he brings the eggs, and it's like you know like we that might, and as collapse happens, that might be how it has to kind of revert back to, where it's like you know we're just trading what we need with each other, and everyone's got their specialty. Like if Lux is over here gardening, has a vegetable garden or something, maybe I give bread to Lux and Lux gives me a cucumber. And that's how
It's
we
true.
Yeah,
survive in
it's true.
our medieval
But you can live
America.
that now. Like that's the great thing, Griffin, is you can live
Yeah,
that now. Like I am certain
yeah.
that I'm spending more money probably doing this, but I have started going to the farmers market every single week and I buy my produce
Mhm.
locally because if I want to have
Mhm.
farms here that will survive at like let all these farms in Texas are drying up and they can't support livestock anymore and all this kind of stuff, like I'm investing
Mhm.
that money now in this local community. And
Yeah.
like my husband's coworker recently came into possession of some chickens. So now I'm like buying chickens from that
Mhm.
guy or buying eggs from that guy. And like I was like, oh yeah, I still have an egg
Mhm.
carton from when I recently bought some at the store. So here, give these to that guy. And so he can have another carton just to keep in circulation. And then I volunteered recently
Mhm.
to harvest some fruit that was like it was going to go bad because they basically like I think they typically they'll hire people to pick the fruit for like the main season, but then sometimes later there's like a second
Mhm.
harvest that is not worth it to pay people to come get it. So in my community you can volunteer to go harvest and like you donate most of that food to like local people, but you also can take some home. And then I was like, okay, bet I have a bunch of fruit
Mhm.
now that I'm going to learn how to can, first of all. But also, I was like, oh, hey, here,
Yeah.
my partner, take a bunch of these to work and give them away to people and make some friends for me. It's like you
Mhm.
can start living the truth of your local community now, as long as you just have to show
Yeah.
up and be present and like follow a bunch of local groups on Instagram so that you know when things are happening in your community and just literally show up and get
Mhm.
involved.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's true.
Well, Griffin, thank you so much for giving us a lot to talk about here. Whenever I get a chance to talk politics, I kind of like grab it and say, "Let's go." So I really appreciate it. Stay safe in Florida, and keep up. Just stay true to your values, and we will make it through this. And so let's just keep it up, and yeah, we will get through this, but that's my eternal optimism. But I truly believe it. I
Mhm.
truly believe it. So all right, well, Griffin, thank you so much, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Okay.
You
All
you
right,
too.
bye.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Okay. So that was our last call. So now
Woo!
it's time to get to super chats. And if you liked some of the policy points I was speaking about, make sure you go to Josie from Maryland.com, or you can use the Zerbo link that I just put in the chat. Please do that. It's a Zerba link. Zerba is strong. Okay, every time the Zerba link goes off, my team is like, "What is a Zerba?" And I'm like, "You know what a Zerba is? It's power from the line. All right, that's that's
We're
what it
doing a
is."
spirit bomb for you. We're holding up our hands collectively so that
Ah,
you can make the spirit bomb.
Yes, exactly. No, it's like people don't get it. Like when we had that big show where we were doing a little bit of a pledge drive or a donation drive for my campaign, like that bought like the literature, the T-shirts, the stickers, the signs that we're gonna have for our kickoff in like 2 weeks or like next week. That's the power of the Line network here. So please give to make sure that we can keep the momentum going. It's really, really helpful to the to what we're trying to do. So if you like nerdy housing policy nerds in office, you got to do it. All right. Anyways,
Yeah. We need
um,
nerds to govern us.
so yeah, I know. I will take the burden. I was the nerd in school. It's just who I am. I can't change it, okay? It's the sky is blue, Josie's a nerd. It's the same type
Mhm.
of concept. Uh so $5 from Zurith Moonpaw, hashtag Team Josie. I have an evil paladin dwarf character who carries a book of prayer for every god. He will give you whatever god's last rites when he kills you. Aw, at least giving you a little bit of something before death falls upon your
Some closure for
enemies.
your spirit. I feel like that's
Yeah,
still yeah,
yeah,
that's good.
yeah,
Thank you for
yeah.
5
It's great.
Canadian from Quantum Chaos who says, "Hello, I'm just canceling out Zurith's vote with hashtag Team Lux. Also, hi friends, I hope you're all well. Hi, hello. Yes, hi, good, very hello. Hi there, hello friends, bye." Thank you.
Wow, I love it. And it looks like trans people by vampire rules is winning by 1% next to queer
Oh,
people emit 5G Wi-Fi chemtrails. So
yeah. You guys gotta get
it's
your
a nail
votes in the
biter in that
chat.
race too. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. 5 pounds from Mystic Mind Analysis Tavern. My ideal body would be a shape shifting humanoid catasuit. I don't know what a kitsune
Kitsune.
is. Um, Kitsune. I don't. Man, am I losing it right
It's a
there?
fox
That.
demon, kind of.
Oh yes, I do know that. Okay, okay. I was like losing anime cred. I was getting
Yeah,
really.
yeah, you are.
Uh, yeah, yeah. That means I get a mix of match my body however the heck I want. Yes, I love it. Hashtag Team Josie. Let's go. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
but
you. Oh, were you gonna say something? No, go ahead. We have time
no,
to kill,
no,
so
no,
if you've got
no,
commentary.
no. I was gonna say Free Ren is still reigning as my favorite anime of all time. That's what I'll say. That's the truth. Yeah. I don't know what could beat it. So good. So
I think my
good.
favorite anime of
Storytelling
all
so
time is
good.
Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. It's very
Okay.
That's
good.
the correct opinion.
Okay.
Good job.
Oh,
That's a
okay, that's what I
classic.
thought. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Also, season 2
Okay.
finale of Dandadan tonight, so that's exciting.
Oh, that means it's time for me to watch Dandadan. I usually
Yeah,
don't watch an anime unless the second season's out, but Free
there you
Red was
go.
my exception to that rule. Yeah, yeah. And done. Um,
Nice.
so,
$10 from Joshua Everett says, "Thank you for being here and doing this important work. I can't express how much we need these conversations now more than ever." Yes, thank you. And I agree. I mean, it's like scary, right? Like I think every single person on this network is feeling some type of way or is like expressing feeling some type of way about like literally the same kinds of public conversations that we've been having for years. Even Matt Dillahunty last night, I was producing and like listening in on the conversation, and even he's worried, and he's been doing like the atheist experience for what, like 20 years prior to coming over to the line. So yeah, if even the old white men amongst us are like worried about government retaliation for basically just having oppositional opinions, then yeah, like it's scary, and we're just gonna keep doing it until I guess they shut the network down.
yeah. It's wild.
Mm-hmm.
$5 from Joshua Everett. If I ever win the lottery, I'm starting a charity foundation to provide arms for any trans person in America who wants one and needs a good name. Ooh, arm the dolls, but that's not inclusive of all trans people.
It's not.
I don't know.
Mm.
Oh man, I'm sure. I'm sure we'll get some good suggestions in the chat.
Yeah, I wish I knew more about gun culture because or like the parts of guns or anything like that because like there's a pun somewhere in there. I think if I was gonna do this, I would treat it like a drag name. Like there has to be a pun. There has to be a double
I don't know.
entendre or
Trans and
something.
loaded. Trans and
Yeah,
loaded. That's
there's
kind of
something
good.
there.
Transload. There's your entendre.
No,
Transload.
nope, nope. That's something else.
No, I'm
You
gonna
asked
veto
for this, Lux.
transload. Yes, thank you, Lux.
You asked for the entendre, okay?
Well, I didn't mean a sexual entendre necessarily. I just meant like a pun. So we need
Okay,
Erica
all
here
right, fine.
so that the chat wants to torture her, and then we'll get the best pun ideas.
Oh my god, somebody says transmunition. That's so good though. Like
Transmunition, that's pretty good.
that's a pretty
Pretty
good
good.
one. Yeah, for sure. $5 from Kaylee King, Detroit Atheist Queen. These people are self-projecting. Minorities are just trying to survive. That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Nancy Mace is like, they all want me dead. And it's like, we know that you want that for us. Like, you know that we know that, right? Like, we're not stupid. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Thank you for $5 from Perfectly Flawed, who says collective punishment is a war crime. Not sure what else there really is to say other than hashtag Team Josie because I want to see Lux defend something goofy. Well, thank you for that.
That's fair.
And yeah, like obviously collective punishment is a war crime, but also like globally, we've apparently decided that war crimes are fine actually. And it's like specifically collective
Yeah.
punishment, as with the Palestinian people, is
Yeah.
like that's fine actually. We've
Absolutely.
decided as a planet together.
As a planet. Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah.
Hey, wait. Did you get the point on that last one?
No,
I
no, no.
Did I get
You
a
got
point?
it for the last one, Josie, but there was also one earlier that I missed for you. So I gave you two to get you
Oh,
up to speed.
Okay, so got it. Because I was like, damn, all right. I see the fix is in. $5
Ballot
from Racing Gaming. Update on my injunction. Skeptodius just changed my name. The infinitely wise government sent the mail to the wrong address. Hashtag Jimmy, go fuck yourself, Jimmy. It's okay.
I didn't hear about the
That
injunctions.
sucks.
I've been gone for a week and a half, so I don't know. I don't know what happened.
Things get dramatic when you're not around.
Yeah, literally. I was like, I'm gonna go on vacation, everybody. And then on Wednesday last week, I was like, I was like, I'm trying to stay off social media. I don't want to be here.
I know.
Whatever. Okay, $20
This
from
one's you.
X Million. Thank you. Says, what's the best response to those whose only argument comes down to, well, when archaeologists dig up their grave, they'll be able to tell by their bones whether they were male or female, so that's what they are. I love telling those people, I mean, the various degrees of ridicule, right? But like, you're telling me that you are a completely fucking ignorant person about archaeology. Like, I don't know anything about archaeology, and even I know that sexing bodies is extremely difficult and is entirely based on what they were buried with. And like, we do not know how many people have chromosomal anomalies even now. So like, how could you possibly say strictly based on like their chromosomes? Like, and you get different chromosomal DNA from different parts of the skeleton sometimes, even if they had chimerism. So like, there is no way to tell except for what they're buried with, and that fits within a cultural context. And it actually reinforces the idea that gender is a spectrum and context dependent through your cultures. Like, yeah, you tell me you know nothing about
And it
archaeology
also
without telling me you know nothing about
and it
archaeology.
And also the fact is, why are we assuming that every body will be exhumed by an archaeologist one day? Like, is that what archaeologists
True.
do? Is like, oh, I can't wait to dig up those graves, dig up those
I mean, yeah.
graves of those of that cemetery in Maryland. I can't wait to dig that sucker up and start checking on the
Yeah.
bones. Like,
Somebody asked
it's
Erica
such a
this week on
weird.
Skeptalk, like, what's the difference between archaeology and grave robbing? Like, well, kind of isn't. Kind
Well,
of no different.
it's like okay, I guess is that what is like? Are they archaeologists? Are they like okay, like after a certain amount of time, this grave is ready for robbery. Like it's like
Yeah,
let's just
yeah.
open
I
up
think
this.
it's like if the culture is gone and it has been gone for long enough, then it's archaeological research and not just like desecrating the graves of families who are probably still have living descendants right now.
Yeah,
Anyway.
exactly. Oh my gosh. $10 from Jimnico6. Gender identity is determined from within an individual. Race is assigned upon an individual, though they're both social construct. One is internal and the one is external. Hashtag Team Dragons. Yeah,
I actually
that's
don't
a
know
very
if I
good
agree with that
concise way to do it.
distinction. Because, like, we
No?
all I think the thing that trans people all share in common, in fact, that the, like, thing that I use to connect non-binary and binary experiences is that we have all been afflicted with a gender that we don't identify with. So, like, I
Uh,
don't know that that's exactly the I
that's
don't think that
fair.
that is the strongest distinction to draw. Um, but, like, yeah, I mean, like, a racially ambiguous person will be like, "Yeah, that person's called me the N-word, and this person used a completely different racial slur." So it's like, I guess, kinda similar in that way
Yeah.
where you can be treated as a different thing based on how people perceive you. Like, sometimes people perceive me as female or male, and that changes, like, how they interact with me. So they are both, like, afflicted on you, and it is, like, a journey for you to determine where you fit within that context. It's just that the 2 contexts are totally different.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
realized why Josie said the
Yeah.
fix was in. It didn't click with me earlier because I added the extra point to the bottom one, but the bottom one is Lux. So you should both have
That's
3
what
right
I
now is where
thought.
we're at.
That's
Okay.
what I thought.
I'm
Double check
sorry.
yourself.
Mhm.
I'm a big idiot. It's not
Uh-huh.
my fault.
It's the
Bring
end of
back
our work
God,
week,
all right?
everybody.
Like, yeah, yeah. I'd rather have the tooth bunny in here. What's going
You
on?
will take whatever points I give you, mortal.
True.
Fair. That's
God is
fair.
mean.
Can't argue with God. Well, I mean, wouldn't God be mean? I mean, he literally tortured his son for fun. $5 from
True.
Kelly King, Detroit Atheist Queen. Excuse my faulty brain. I forgot to vote. Hashtag Team Lux. There we go.
Thank you. Thank you for $5 from X Million, who says, last one. Since I donated $26 to Josie's campaign, I will even it out by voting Team Lux. Everyone go donate. Yes. If you donate here on Super Chats,
Yes.
that's just normal income stuff. But if you donate to Josie's thing, then that's like specifically special
Straight to the
tax
campaign.
deductible donation or something. I don't know.
It's not a tax deductible donation, but it is a
I was like,
donation
I'm going
that
to say
goes to
something
my
wrong and
campaign.
let you correct me.
Keeping me on my toes, Lex, I see.
Exactly.
Yes. $5 from Perfectly Flawed. I heard the view counts look lower, but the revenues seem to stay the same. Hashtag Team Josie, but also love you, Lux. Just want to see you defend ridiculousness. That is fair.
That's fair.
That is fair.
I've heard people say the revenue stays the same, and the reason for that seems to be because the only views that were getting revenue before, or only the views that were already getting revenue before, are now being counted as views, point blank, period. The issue that I'm wondering is, like, does that lowered view count mean that we get less of a boost in the algorithm, meaning that we will lose money? And, like, clearly people are struggling and they're worried, and even big channels are making videos about, like, not knowing what they're supposed to do. So yeah, it seems like a change that has net negatively impacted the platform. But I mean, I don't actually know. It remains to be seen how these changes are going to bear out over time, or whether they're going to roll anything back because it's seriously not working or something. I don't know.
Right.
$5 from Joshua Everett says, I yelled at someone last week who was using paid ad block that cost almost as much as premium. Hashtag Team Josie. Yeah, you're trying really
That's
hard to
terrible.
steal from people who are working hard. Like, I know that it's not popular, but I do kind of come down on the side of like, especially if these changes are going to negatively impact channels the way that I think that they will, using ad block, I'm sorry to tell you all, is stealing. Like you are undercutting our ability to make money because you don't want to tolerate sitting through relatively small amounts of ads when you all grew up watching television. Not like you're not used to it.
True. So true. $10. I forget what country this is, but I'm just gonna say video game money from Politically Irony. I think it might be Israeli. I'm not sure.
It is. They're Israeli,
I'm
I think,
here.
shekels.
Yeah, it's
Oh, okay.
yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah. I'm here, everyone, setting by example with the dedicated hashtag Team Josie vote from me today. 3 this time. I bring my own void kitty to the picture. Aw, I love that. So
Nice.
good. Oh,
30 units again from Poetical Irony, thank you, says, so on that topic, my sister lives closer to hashtag Team Josie than I realized. How do I talk to her about voting for you from across the globe? She's a new mom and one of the sweetest people I know. Ooh, that's cute.
you could talk to her, like, to say your family, you're fine, you can do it. As long as they can legally vote, then they should vote. Like, yeah, it's okay, you can talk. Like, local politics is important. And yeah, you can always send my information to her and I'll talk to her myself. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
$5 from X Million. Darn, I forgot about the $5 minimum and the hashtag. So let's do this one more time. Love you both. Hashtag Luxander.
Thank you. $5 from Joshua Everett, thank you, says, and just because I forgot my earlier votes, hashtag Team Josie.
Oh,
Nice.
thank you. 15 Israeli shekels from Political Irony. It's never too late for a hashtag Team Josie vote. That is true. That is actual true statement.
$5 from Perfectly Flawed says, now I feel bad that Josie is stuffing the ballot box, so hashtag Team Lux. See? Some people are fighting back.
Yeah, absolutely. $5 from Alice Rosas. I definitely let my anxiety rule my life, and it may be bordering on what Lux mentioned. I do anything to get out going anywhere unfamiliar. Yeah, absolutely. Small steps. It's really important. When I started presenting as myself, it started with like walks around the block with my dog. And that was, and then I would go in and then I would change and then go out and then I'll do it again and then I'll do it again. And then it's a trip to the grocery store and then it's a trip to Target and then it's going to a party. It's just all steps. It's all steps.
Real quick, God move here. Since we're we've got about a whole page of supers and like so it's like 25 and we got more rolling in. I'm gonna bump up the super chat threshold for supers to be read to $10. So I'm gonna put that in the chat right now. Wow, okay, this all just started crashing, of course, right when I tried to make a message that I could pin.
Nice.
If you've
And
already
the
sent
votes are
one,
still
so
coming in. So
Moonquaker,
we've
that'll
been
be the
reading too
last.
slow.
Oh my God, 5, another 3 just came in right when I said that. Or more.
Of course, people do it because you said it.
Yeah.
People are trying to get the
So,
discount
yeah,
before it's too late.
from this point forward,
Okay,
$10
Melatonin
enough money.
Ale, that is the last one. All the others that are going to be read from this point forward on the show will be $10 or more, and we'll probably need to pick up the pace just a little bit.
Fine.
Okay.
All right. We were talking slow on purpose. So so all right. And also, is that the end of the poll? Did you get rid of the poll?
Nope. We're still in a dead
Okay,
heat
just
between
making sure.
those top 2 right now, from what I
Yeah,
see.
it's a tie still. Okay.
$5 from
Lex.
Perfectly Flawed says, Jesse, you can be your gender any way you want. Hashtag Team Lux. True.
True. And yeah. 30 is really shekels from Political Irony. The conversation on eragophobia is exactly what I've been needing. I've been reaching out on online spaces and finding it to be a great additional option. Hashtag Team Josie. Hashtag Team Perfect Curls after showering. Yes, it's true. It's how it works.
My curls always are the worst the first day, and it's like the second day they look better. I don't know what the deal is. I'm still learning.
Yeah.
$9.99 from June Bramley says, while I love catching the stream live, I do need to do voice practice. When/how did y'all find your voice? Hashtag team whoever is losing. I sang country music, and that's how I kind of found where my like deeper voice is, and also how I learned how to change it for bigger resonance. I just choose not to talk that way.
Yeah, and heat from fire, fire from ice. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's the voice coaching. And did she pass away? Wasn't she a wasn't she one of the voices on gosh, I know we're supposed to go faster, but um Dead by Daylight? She was like there was a trans voice actress that passed away tragically. I don't know if it was her. It might have been her. I'm not sure.
I missed this
Anyways,
one,
yeah.
I guess.
Voice training on YouTube. That's how I did it.
Mhm.
Anyways, through 13.99 Canadian from Kim Ursica. Thanks for digging into the complexity of transracial identities and why they can't be compared to transgender identities. Hashtag Team Lux.
We do our best. Thank you for $5 from
Yes.
Domestic, who says, because I want to hear Josie make the argument, as long as her political opponents don't use these against her. Hashtag Team Lux. I mean, it's hard to, with all the
Yes.
graphics and stuff, it's hard to take it out of context.
Yeah.
Am I
$10
supposed to read this
Canadian
one?
from
Okay.
Untitled Final V2 this version. Hashtag Team Lux. Look at you making a comeback here.
Uh-huh. Thank you for the 10 from Barbara Barrett, who says the largest trans organization is taking the ECHR to court to reverse the guidance. The judge is trans. Cool. That's good. I'm glad to hear it. I want to hear some good things.
Yeah, $10 Canadian from Untitled Final V this version. Hashtag Team Lux. Who's ballot stuffing now?
Mm-hmm. It's called a comeback.
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, 60. I think that's you.
It
Go
is
ahead.
supposed to be for me. Yes. Thank you for the 60 from Poetical Irony, who says hashtag Team Marceline true. Hearts for Team Marceline.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. $5 from Joshua Everett. Read this one very slowly. Hashtag Team Josie.
Thank you for 5 from Barbara Barrett, who says hashtag Team Rock Paper Scissors. Okay. I usually like
Okay.
turn away or do something. Okay, ready?
Yeah, me too. Uh-huh.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, shoot. You beat me.
Yes, I
Yeah.
did.
Success.
Success. $5 for Perfectly Flawed. I hear y'all need to extend time for super chat, so have some more money. Hashtag Team Rock Paper Scissors again.
Okay.
All
One more
right,
time.
go ahead and count it out.
1. Okay. 1, 2, 3, shoot.
Oh,
Okay,
gotta do it
we
again.
draw. One more time. One more time. Okay.
Yep.
1, 2, 3, shoot. Okay, you win. You did it.
Yes, I did.
My sibling and I are like locked in a months long tie. Like every single, I'll be like randomly
Oh,
like, let's go. And we shoot and it's always a tie. I don't know how we do it. And it's always something different. It's not like we pick paper every time.
oh
Anyway,
my
thank you
Okay,
gosh.
for
we're
It's
being
a
too
what?
generous here in the audience, and we are actually getting tight on time now. So I'm gonna bump it up to
okay.
$50.
Okay. Let's keep
Whoa.
it going. 20
Okay,
from Alan
fine.
Michael. Thank you. Says much love. Great show tonight, even if it was rough at times. Hashtag Team Rochambeau. I don't know
Oh
what
my
that
fucking
means.
god! Is Rochambeau?
That's another one of these. Yes,
There's
it's
another one of
I'm
these.
gonna
Okay,
I'm
Perfect
cool.
gonna
rock, paper,
start
scissors.
banning these because
Ready?
it's too
After
much.
this one, no more. Okay. 3, 2, 1, shoot.
Oh, you got me this time.
I win this time. Okay, there we go.
Yes, you
No
did.
more rock, paper,
All right.
scissors.
Not for this show. $15 from Political Irony, I will say with if not dollars, so 15 units. With utmost caution, one of the hardest parts of living in Israel is watching survivors scapegoating others. Oof. Hashtag Team Josie. I'm sorry you have to deal with that. That's really rough.
Hmm.
Sorry, I was replacing the pinned message, and that one goes to
That's okay.
Josie. Okay.
Okay. So dead heat.
5 from Jessica Doodoo McButtface says, I met the Tooth Bunny. She says Growlithe is better than Espeon. All this political hate. Just accept the facts, art, and hashtag Espeon sucks. Hashtag Team Kitty. Hashtag love you soon.
Yes. I think your team, Kitty. 10 pounds from Fuzzy Logic, Mila, UK union rep here, forcing us to use the disabled bathrooms, discriminates against you and people with disabilities, including hitting ones who may be out of work. The DFFO talk to unions national equality office about it. Ugh. Yeah, that's
Mhm.
terrible.
5 from Poetical Irony. Thank you for being so generous today. Says, I main Rogue,
Yeah.
and my most recent is a Gloomstalker Swashbuckler with plus 11 initiative. I would usually go first. Hashtag Team Josie. Hashtag Team
Oh
Bard. Nice.
God. Nice. $5 from Kelly King, Detroit Atheist Queen. Great calls. Hashtag Team Jess or whoever is losing. Oh, there goes the Lux. The tie again. This is dead heat. I
Hashtag
think
Team
this is the
Jess, though,
closest it's
too.
been.
For us for a
Yeah,
while. Yeah.
definitely. Yeah.
$10 from Tina, who says, I hope your day is good. Team Lux, but no hashtag. So I don't think I get that one.
No
Oof.
Them's the
hashtag, no
rules.
vote.
Oof.
Them's the rules.
Them's the breaks. $5 from Joshua Everett. Sorry, but Re-Zero is the correct choice for best anime, causing the community error in season 3. Causing
The best
the
anime, except
continuity
for all the continuity errors.
errors. Yeah, all the continuity errors.
Yeah. Canadian $10 from Untitled Final V2. This version says, we've got time to kill. Send super chats. Hashtag Team Lux. Yep, there you go. We do this at the beginning. We're like, let's languorously take our time. And then y'all are so generous that we end up having to rush because we're like, we have a thing where you're doing at 3 o'clock.
Yeah. $10 from Midwest Fungi finds the hashtag Team Josie because Fearin is absolute peak anime. Ones that might scratch similar itch, including Mushishi and the your Eternity, Ancient, Magus Bride, Spice, and Wolf, and maybe Dungeon Misha too. Yes, I agree. I haven't seen any of those though, but yes, Fearin is peak.
I've heard good things about Dungeon Meshi. $10 from a Dragon Ate Me who says, any advice for getting involved in local community in a conservative area? Where I live, it's a crapshoot for who's going to be aggressive versus supportive versus ambivalent. The uncertainty is stressful. Do things that are not politically active stuff, but that will just kind of have you around other people in a way that's helping them, like volunteering to help clean up the sides of the road or something like that.
Yeah, 15 units from Political Irony. I'm gonna have it in my will to carve trans and proud on all of my bones. Hashtag Team Josie. That is
That's
dedication.
one way to do
I
it.
love that. Yeah.
For 5 from Perfectly Flawed, who says, fuck that, we will do it pirate radio style if they shut the network down. Hashtag Team Lux. Yeah, what is that? Pump up the volume? Let's just do that.
Oh my God. $5 from A Dragon Ate Me. Forgot to vote, but if you look at my username, I do. Do I really need to specify? Hashtag dragons are best.
True. $5 from Mira G. Thank you. Says, just got home. World's getting worse. Physical fight last night with transphobe roommate. At least I won. Don't threaten trans women. Hashtag Team Josie. Wow, I hope you can get out of that
I love it.
environment soon.
Yeah, that sounds awful. $5 from Moonquaker. The winner should pick the position the loser has to defend. Love y'all. P.S. I donated to Josie, so I have to say Team Lux fair, and I will accept that. Thank you, Moonquaker.
That is a fun premise, that the winner should pick the loser's position.
That is.
Thank you for $5 from SJL, who says, as an old person who watched Saturday morning cartoons, I think you and your staff should be known as Josie and the Pussycats. Hashtag Josie. Yeah, that would be fun.
I know. That is kind of fun. The staff is called Team Josie too, though.
Mhm.
$5 from Melatonin Ellie. TACIS God greater than Abrahamic God. Hashtag we pop rock paper scissors. Is that band still God or
I don't think we're doing more rock, paper,
what is it?
scissors. We gotta.
Yeah, I think I'm sorry, LA. If you want to put one in the chat, I'll take that. But I it's fun when we have time, but when we're pressed for time, it's not fun because there's a delay and it just makes it awkward. So put one in the chat and I'll give that point.
Canadian $10 from Untitled Final V2 this version. Hashtag Team Lux. Thank you.
$10 from Dysgraphic Programmer. It seems to me like ads have degenerated since I was a kid. It used to be that they at least attempted to be a little entertaining. Now it feels like they lean into intentionally annoying. Yeah.
They're
It's
always
true,
following
though.
the culture, so it's a little advertisement is always kind of awkward in that way. Oh, cool, it's
Mhm.
me. Thank you for the $20 from Mr. Boutique
Oh,
10,
God,
who
thank
says,
God.
what a beautiful day in it. Despite the world going 6s and 7s, I had a lovely time listening to the show today. I want a I want a sentiment love to the people having a bit of time in the world. Here, have a pint on me, Team Josie. I fell apart in the second there. I do not know what it was saying in the middle. I
Yeah.
would have to go over it again.
Is
Thank you.
Yeah, I wanna send my love. I wanna send my
Mhm.
love.
Oh, okay.
30 Israeli units from Political Irony. Hashtag Team Ben's $10 threshold. Wait, hashtag Team Josie. Thank you so much. You've been incredibly generous.
Thank you for the $10 from Jamnico6, who says, I was trying to summarize Jovin's internal/external argument. I believe he was referring to the differences in self-reporting one's gender, i.e. an internal feeling, versus race being externally perceived. Okay, sure. Yeah. I didn't see Jovin's argument earlier, so I'm sorry if I contradicted him in some indelicate manner. Hashtag Team Lux, though. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Oh, sorry. I've got... there we
Too
go.
many things. Guys, production on the back end of these shows is crazy.
Yeah. Canadian, $50 Canadian from Ali Uris. TACIS is the best show on the line. I agree. Hashtag Team Lux.
True. It won't be long now before California has its own currency, though.
I know. Jesus.
We got jokes. We got jokes. Thank you for the $50 from Alan Michael, who says, will this super chat make you run late? Hashtag Team ME. What is Team ME? What is that?
I don't know.
I think
Team
they're just
me?
being
I don't know.
self-aggrandizing because they
Me?
sent a $50
Oh, okay.
super
Yeah,
chat.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's
Thank you.
fair. Yeah, that's fair. You do get a point. $50. Thank you so much from Myra G. My speech therapy uses a book, One Weird Trick by Liz Jackson Hearns. Hashtag Team Josie. One Weird Trick by Liz Jackson Hearns.
All right, it looks like Lux won by 1 point. Who is the...
See, elections matter, people. Elections matter.
Yeah.
How does this go?
Every vote counts.
Wow, it is a dead heat. You guys, a bunch of you need to go to the chat poll right now and hit whichever answer you want. I'm going to give you like 10 seconds to sort out this tie. Or we could do, I guess...
Melatonin Ale, you said to send it in chat, and they voted for Team Josie.
Oh, does that make it a tie?
Oh,
Yeah,
fucking
it
kill
does.
me.
yeah.
I don't have time for that. Okay, know what? Here's how we're
Yeah.
gonna solve this. You guys do
That is
another.
the tiebreaker.
You gotta do rock paper scissors right now,
Rock,
and that'll be
paper,
the
scissors.
tiebreaker. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
That,
You ready?
that's how it ended up. Ready?
Okay.
Say
1,
it.
2, 3, shoot.
I got you. Yes.
Josie won. Okay.
I thought I was going to get away with it this time if it weren't for those meddling
thought
kids
so.
and me bringing up what Melatonin Ale
And
said.
here, since we got a tie too between these two answers, they won't happen. We'll do the winner picks between them thing. So
This is
Josie,
what you
for
get
Lux, you
having
can either
integrity.
force it to do queer people emit 5G Wi-Fi chemtrails, or trans people by vampire rules?
I think it will hurt it more if I talk about dragons being straight.
Well, no, you got to pick between the two winning polls.
That's what I'm saying. I think,
No, but there were
I think,
two that were
oh,
competition with one another.
damn it.
Queer people
Okay,
5G
fair.
or trans people
I
vampire
agree with you
rules.
completely,
Darn.
Josie, but yes, you have to pick between the ones.
Yeah,
Oh, wait,
because
wait,
that
wait,
would
wait.
that would be
It
Do we
says
want
on
to
one
consider that
screen.
a
Wait.
tiebreaker?
It says on one screen that the 5G Wi-Fi chemicals thing won, but on my production screen it says they're a tie. So I think it might go to
all right.
5G Wi-Fi chemtrails.
Okay.
Okay.
That one is good. All right, fine. I guess I'll go with the way the vote actually went. But I
Like
wish I could
we're
have picked,
not counting this
because
last
that
super
would have
chat.
been
We're not
amazing.
counting this last
It
super
would have been
chat.
amazing to have Lux. It would have been amazing to have Lux do the dragons or straight one. It would.
I don't want to.
I know. That's why I put that in there. All right. Are you ready, Lux? We gotta roll out. All right.
All right.
Charging up the clock for you in 3, 2, 1,
Where
go.
people emit Wi-Fi.
Okay, so y'all have heard of gaydar before, right? Like, so you're familiar with the general concept that, like, oh, you can look at a person and kind of, oh, you got a feeling of like whether they're gay. And then also sometimes transdar is a thing that I've noticed, and it's a little weird because sometimes it's like, oh, I'm at the Barnes and Noble and the person who's my cashier is definitely trans, but I'm not like as visibly trans. And like, so how do I say something to this person, but also they're at work anyway? So there's a vibe, okay, and it's like a proximity based thing almost. Is it pheromones? But like human beings don't actually have the organs to detect pheromones, so we can't actually smell them. So it's like, what is it? You're trying to figure out what it is. You're sitting there like, what is it about this person? Is it just tall women in general? What is it? And then you start to realize like, oh no, it goes deeper than that. You're swimming in it, okay? Like the electrical signals from your home internet, you are swimming in gay chemtrails, gay Wi-Fi chemtrails. And so that's actually what gaydar is. This is the explanation, is you're nearby a gay person or a queer person, and they're just sending out vibes, and you're just like, it's like a wave, you're like receiving it like the laser, like just you're just like, oh no. And then it's like the Last Crusade or whatever, Indiana Jones, and your face melts because the Wi-Fi chemical signals just got too strong. You got to be really careful going to like trans pride, because you're gonna get a lot of it, okay? And that's also how you become gay, is by saturation with the 5G. That's how we create more gays. So that's where your gaydar works. That's how we create more gays. Thank you and good night.
Yes. The 5G
Beautiful.
part, that one threw me. And by the way, we're $18 away from raising $100 for my campaign since we started. So yeah, let's go. Every donation counts. Every donation counts.
Yeah.
Great. We made it. We did it in time,
did it.
right?
You did it.
Pretty
So
much, yeah.
God can get a
We gotta
snack
roll out.
on the teeth. On the teeth
Yes.
that they pulled. Yeah, of course.
We're about to be
Thank
calling
you
it
so
now.
much, everybody. Yes.
Click through
we're
or
about to
wait
do
in the
calling it
chat
now.
and it will send to you. Yes, Arden is on Calling It Now with Jimmy. And then also go to Patreon.
Yeah.
We have an event this weekend.
Yeah. It's gonna be great. You gotta keep doing it. You gotta make sure that we succeed. All right, friends.